Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire.
Cleveland Indians clinched the Central with a wipeout win over the Tigers on Saturday. But you know what? Ron Gardenhire really liked the way the Tigers came back and took the series with a win yesterday. A big game, career high 4 RBIs for Jim Adduci. And now we get ready for the final homestand of 2018. Welcome inside Comerica Park along with the Hall of Famer, Jack Morris. I'm Dan Dickerson. Glad to be bringing you game 1 of a 7-game homestand to end this season. Jack, one of the trends in baseball this year, and we will be talking about this tonight, the use of an opener instead of a traditional starter in baseball. We will see that on display tonight as Gabriel Moya gets the start for the Twins.
Yeah, the Twins are going to use Moya to start and transition into Cole Stewart, who is the primary pitcher in today's game, and we're going to certainly talk about that as the game goes along. But Moya's a guy that's been pitching out of the bullpen. He's got pretty good stuff. He's a herky-jerky kind of guy. You got to kind of just zone in on his arm slot as a hitter. But, you know, he's going to come at you with fastballs in the upper 90s, and he's got a pretty good breaking ball. When he's on, should be able to get the ball pitch 2 innings to get the ball to Cole Stewart.
As you can imagine, my partner has some strong feelings about the use of an opener in Major League Baseball. Well, the Tigers are going to use a traditional starter tonight in Jordan Zimmerman. Been a rough second half, Jack, but I mean, this is a guy who still has shown that he can be a big piece in this rotation. They have him under contract for 2 more years. There's still something in there with Jordan Zimmerman.
You know, he's in that transition point in his career, and he's got to adjust to it. Fastball has been his bread and butter pitch. Everybody knows he attacks the strike zone, and I think the Tigers are trying to get him to throw more changeup. You can see by his pitch percentage, the usage of his pitches, what he uses, 6% only in changeups, and he's got to do a better job of that. He's got really good arm action. He can locate down and away to a left-hander, so there's every reason to believe that he can have success with that. And I think it's just a matter of accepting the fact that maybe at this point in my career, I'm going to have to make some minor adjustments in my pitch selection in order to navigate the rest of my career.
After a short break, we'll be talking a lot more about starting pitching during the game. After a short break, back to Mickey York in the Call Sam studios. Last chance to interact with Tigers players on this final homestand of the year. We'll have the first pitch coming up.
because he's had the advantages in his career against the Twins. He starts the night with 239 career hits versus the Twins, which is currently the most of any active player. Hopefully a few more in Victor's bat tonight as the Tigers open up the series with the Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody. I'm Mickey York. Welcome inside the Call Sam studio. Victor and the Tigers getting ready to make their final homestand of the season. Detroit 6-7 in head-to-head meetings with the Twins this year, but a good series here and again next week in Minnesota could help them take the season series for the 5th time in the last 6 seasons. Almost game time here at Comerica Park on Bark at the Park night. Those puppies will be happy to know Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be. Come to Comerica. Ram, hurry in and get a great deal during Ram Power Days. And by Greektown Casino Hotel, the only casino in the heart of downtown Detroit.
Gardenhire, that's Toby Gardenhire, Ron Gardenhire's son, who a manager in the Twins farm system, brought up for this series here in Detroit, and that is pretty neat. Our starting pitcher tonight, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, it's Jordan Zimmerman on the mound for the Tigers.
Yeah, he's making his 23rd start of the year tonight, and we'll see if he adjusts at all. His last start didn't work out the best for him. He suffered a loss against Houston. He's faced the Twins 8 times in his career. He's 4-3 with a 5.86 ERA. Here's a guy that usually when things are going well, he works fast, throws a lot of fastballs. We'll see if he mixes in a few more breaking balls and off-speed pitches tonight.
I think that will be the thing to watch, as the fastball's been hit hard, and The contact has been hard in many recent games. First pitch of the game is a fastball strike. And we are underway here at Comerica Park. So glad to have you along for the first of 3 and the first of 7 on this homestand. 3 with the Twins and then 4 with the Kansas City Royals. Perfect on the outside corner.
He's got a guy that traditionally takes strikes. In our generation, we had a few guys. Wade Boggs did that. And Joe Mauer's done that throughout his career. Not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Jordan ahead of him.
That's the changeup that we might see a lot more. I think we've seen that a lot more in the last couple of games, Jack. It's not a whole lot different from his fastball, but the movement is different down and away from a lefty.
Well, a lot of movement on that one. Ball probably moved 2 feet down and away. He's got to start it more of the middle of the plate and work its way off the plate.
This ball popped up down the left field line. Candelario will get chafed, but that will get just to the edge of the wall. Many wondering what the future holds for Joe Mauer. He certainly has hinted at retirement, but as you said earlier when we were chatting, Jack, it's not always easy to, when you still think there might be something left in there, to necessarily make that final decision that your career is over.
Well, Joe would play for his own numbers and his own love of the game. You know, the money is not an issue for him, and I don't see him going anywhere else. You know, I think he'd be a great fit in Boston, the Green Monster, and what he can do to shooting the ball to left field. I think he's still got a few hundred hits left in that bat of his.
Ooh. Generous call from Greg Gibson.
Take a look at this last pitch. Fastball located down and away. It's right there on the border. Looked a little bit low, but he gets the strikeout. Good start for Jordan.
Take a look at that Twins batting order brought to you by your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Rosario's really cooled off in the second half after a big June and a big month of May. Jake Cave has been swinging a hot bat of late. A-Ray Adrianza has been a tough out for the Tigers all season long. I like the size of the strike zone for Jordan Zimmerman so far.
Well, hopefully it'll work for both sides and the game will move along, and I think that's the way these September games should move along.
Now there's the curveball. I think those are the 2 pitches we'll be watching very closely tonight. Rick Anderson is a big believer that you have to have more of a separation.
Well, you can see already he's got good enough stuff to win at this level and still have the success he had when he was younger. And you know, that breaking ball's has got plenty of break to it. It's changing speeds at least 3-4 miles an hour slower. You know, those things all play at this level. Command is the issue, and consistency. And you know, here's a guy that, quite honestly, he's had a lot of time away from the mound. He's been injured a lot, and that can really play some games with you as a pitcher because you're trying to get your legs underneath you. You're trying to have your stamina and all those things. He's always worked fast.
The changeup away, count is full. Greg Gibson, our home plate umpire. Chris Siegel at first. Jerry Lane is the crew chief. He's at second base. And Jordan Baker, tonight's third base umpire. Just underway and scoreless here at Comerica Park. Ball chopped, beat right into the dirt in front of the plate. Ronnie Rodriguez, fine play. Let's take a look at the Tigers' defensive alignment, brought to you by McLaren Health Plan. Ronnie Rodriguez, there was a shift there, but that was a really nice play. The outfield, Kristen Stewart in left. Victor Reyes has played a very fine center field this year. Kristen Stewart is getting used to the large acreage in left. It's one of the biggest left fields anywhere. That fine play by Ronnie Rodriguez. Dawal Lugo has been very solid at second base since coming up as a September call-up. Jim Meducci also at first. I think he deserves some credit and some notice for all the hard work he has put in. He's an outfielder turned first baseman. And Jack, as we've watched him throughout the season, he's just getting better and better, but it's a lot of hard work every day for Jim Meducci at first.
You know, and coaching staffs just really admire those guys that are willing to put in the work.
Fly ball to left is deep. Stewart's back at the fence, and he's going to run out of room. Eddie Rosario with his third home run of the year against the Tigers, 24th overall, and the Twins on top 1-0 in the first.
Well, we really didn't have time to talk about Rosario and the fact that he has leading the league in hits out of the strike zone. He goes up there swinging the bat, and nothing's safe above the belt with Eddie Rosario. This pitch is maybe a changeup away. It Looks like it was just a sinker down and away, two-seamer, and he stays with it, and he's got a lot of power that way. He is a guy that's got the unique ability to throw the barrel of the bat on the baseball.
Oh, a little flare here, but what a play by Ronnie Rodriguez. In tight, Robbie Grossman tried to get it into left, and Rodriguez said no. Over the shoulder, 1-0 Twins. Let's take a look at the Tigers lineup tonight, presented by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. Jeimer Candelario, nice to see his bat heat up here in the month of September. He really needed this last 10-game stretch. Nick Castellanos just solid all year long. Victor Martinez strong to the finish line for him. Jim Meducci, the career high 4 RBIs yesterday. So the opener is Gabriel Mora. As the Twin notes said, the primary pitcher tonight is Cole Stewart. These are terms that we're going to have to get used to.
Well, let's hope we don't have to get used to them, but we may. And if we do, it'll be because it works. And Tampa is the team that really got this whole concept rolling this year.
It's something that has been thought about, talked about for years in one form or another. Off speed and away to Candelario, and you're right, it was really by necessity. Injuries forced the Rays into trying something that they figured they really didn't have many other options other than to try something completely different. And man, has it worked. And it's been 4 months now for the Rays.
Well, Moya is a guy that primarily has been worked out of the bullpen. He has, now this is his 3rd time as an opener. He was the first Twin to try this experiment back on September 2nd down in Texas. And he worked in front of Stephen Gonzalez for a couple innings his last start. So he's kind of somewhat used to this new role. Guy that works right out of his stretch to start the game.
He's a youngster, 23-year-old native of Venezuela, from Arizona to Minnesota in a deal last summer. Let's take a look at some of the numbers for Gabriel Moya. Numbers brought to you by MGM Grand in Detroit. Twins have had 16 different pitchers start a game this year.
That all? Seems like more than that.
Not all of them the traditional starters that we have come to know and love through the years. Candelario batting from his stronger right side, consistently better as a right-handed batter this year, facing the overshifted infield defense and the outfield straight up. The 2-2. That's the top end of the fastball for this lefty. Paul Molitor did such a great job. He's done a really good job with this team. I think the fans are frustrated that this year hasn't been a big follow-up to last year, but it's not unusual to see a team take a jump up like they did. Make the postseason last year after a 100-loss season and have a fallback the next year. But he really does an excellent job with this Twins team. Perfect pitch, freezes Candelario.
Let's take a look at that last pitch, a strikeout pitch by Moya. Nothing fancy, just a fastball inner half of the plate, and it kind of locks up Candelario. But to your point, Dan, about Paul Molitor, you can't really blame the manager. A lot of injuries this year. You can see that wasn't the infield or outfield that the Twins had planned to start the season. A lot of changes. Irvin Santana, their ace of their staff, hasn't pitched hardly at all this year because of the finger injury. Miguel Sano, Byron Buxton, big questions going forward.
Those are the three big names, really.
Yeah. And then their shortstop, who I consider one of the best players on the field tonight, Jorge Polanco, missed 80 games because of the PED suspension to start the season. So the Twins were kind of put behind the 8-ball to start the season, and it just hasn't really ever developed.
Byron Buxton not with the team in September. And that remains a very big piece. You can't have the year like he had last year and not be a big piece of the future, but it was a year full of injuries, trips to the DL, and just never got the bat going. But what a force he is when he is healthy. Stewart at the plate. We've enjoyed watching these at bats so far in his first week with the Tigers. Well, that's a good changeup from Moya.
Yeah, he's got three very, very good pitches. Fastball, breaking ball, and that changeup right there. He's a tough guy to pick up. He does a lot of herky-jerky stuff out there. But like Rick Anderson's trying to tell today's pitcher for the Twins or the Tigers, Jordan Zimmerman, changeup, got to throw it down. Got to get it in the zone, but keep it down.
The fly ball to right. Not deep enough. Kepler with room. Well, if Detroit combines for 3 or more home runs in this game, you can bring in a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow. You get a free small order of curly fries. You can find a copy of the box score in your newspaper or on the Tigers page at foxsportsdetroit.com. That brings up Castellanos. 1-0 Twins. We're in the bottom of the first. Tigers trying to start something with 2 outs. And there's a drive to left center that'll drop in for a single. Rosario will get it in.
Well, Dan, your pick to sticks looking good already. And it was just shocking that as a second pick I didn't get to pick this guy. But he deposits a off-speed pitch, I think, right off the end of the bat to left field. Nice swing. You see how he kept his head down on the baseball, and he beat the shift that the Twins were putting on him.
Just couldn't be more impressed by the consistency of Nick's season. Had one little stretch for a couple of weeks, and it stood out because it was the only stretch of the entire year where he just wasn't making hard contact. And since then, a 30-game stretch where he's hit .320 with nice power numbers. Little tap foul off the bat of Victor. Time now for StatCast AI, powered by AWS. We see a modified shift against Victor Martinez, and you can see why they don't overshift. He has that knack for putting a ground ball, especially into center field. Left side, it's automatic. 3 infielders all on the right side if Victor's batting lefty.
Yeah, he's been a pro's pro for his whole career. He goes to the plate with a game plan. We talked about in the pregame that, you know, this guy's always got a plan, and he's not afraid to take his time to make himself comfortable, to work the counts. A lot like Joe Mauer for the Twins, he's not afraid to swing the bat deep in a count. And like all great hitters, he's made a living off mistake pitches. He usually doesn't miss the mistakes.
Check swing went too far, says Craig Siegel down at first. I thought it was interesting when Ron Gardner was asked what are some of the positives out of this season beyond the 1-loss record, obviously, which is a disappointment. And one of the first things he mentioned was being able to watch Victor Martinez in this season, not just at the plate as he's heated up, but also the impact that he has had with the young hitters in that clubhouse.
Well, I can tell you for a fact, I've known Ron for a lot of years, and when he was managing the Twins and looking across the diamond at the Tigers, he always had respect for this guy at the plate. And now he gets to know him personally and sees his work ethic and understands that, you know, where he's at in his career. He's trying to help the younger guys and lead by example. And I think Gardy's just been around the game long enough that he really appreciates the guys like that.
You're a young hitter. You can learn from this guy. About the same from both sides. He's been getting, as he's heated up, more of the at-bats you always do from the left side, but that's where the heat has really come from. Very consistent at-bats. We just haven't seen him bat righty a whole lot in the last few weeks.
We just showed Cole Stewart, the right-hander, warming up, so it appears that Moya will be done after 2, if not before that, depending on what happens here.
Because Cole Stewart is going through a starter's routine, right? Not a reliever. In other words, he's getting ready.
He's taking whatever time he needs,
right.
And knowing that, you know, I got a half inning plus another half inning to get ready. Usually it's time wise, you know, some guys 10 minutes, some guys 15. There was a few guys that might have wanted to take 20 minutes or a number of pitches.
The 1-2. Little flare. Goes safely into the seats for Victor. He'll see at least 7 pitches in this trip to the plate.
Here's one of the reasons why teams chose an opener. Baseball in general this year, the highest run scored inning is the first inning. And if you can get that starter who is a questionable starter, whether he can bridge the gap for 5+ innings, and you just want to give him a better start, you get a reliever in there that you feel strongly that can get through the lineup, at least the top of the lineup, the first 2 innings.
There's the positioning, perfect, as Forsythe gets the out at second base on the ground ball. Tigers get a single and no more. Twins by 1 at the end of 1.
Game break. Jake Cave, the rookie center fielder for the Minnesota Twins, heading to the plate. Well, Jake Cave also the winner of the rookie Twins Triple Crown race. He won the Kentucky Derby in Kansas City. Of course, this is the Twins' final 3-game series of the season, or I should say 3-city tour of the season. They go to Kansas City, then Detroit and Oakland. So they're doing Triple Crown races. Cave won a galloping contest dressed as a jockey. And there will be another race, which would be akin to the Preakness Stakes, which will take place here in Detroit before they head to Oakland for what would be the Belmont Stakes. Dan, Jack?
I understand there were some strict rules about that, Johnny, that they couldn't run. They had to gallop.
Yes, it was a galloping contest because we didn't want anybody to be injured on this, so they felt the safest way to conduct it would be through a gallop.
I wonder who the judges were. You know, did you break the trot? You know, this is harness racing. You can't run.
Exactly.
You get to only
you
trot.
gotta get those trotters out there. Yep.
I'm just trying to picture you, Jack.
You know, you don't even go there. Happy Jack would say no mas.
In that getup, trotting hard for a victory.
You know, it's funny because there's been teams over the years that, you know, try to haze a little bit in a fun way, the young guys, and certainly the Twins are showing that they're part of that.
Perfect pitch gets Cave. Second strikeout for Zimmerman.
Well, again, the fastball this time, and he locates it well, outer half of the plate.
Jack, you and I were talking earlier when Jordan Zimmerman's a fastball pitcher. Fastball use is down this year, but he's lost a couple miles an hour off his fastball. But that's the pitch he has always pitched off of. He likes to pitch up in the strike zone with it. Now that he's lost a couple of miles an hour, and arguably almost 3 since his peak years, you said, I mean, it's just you have to make adjustments. You've alluded to that, but it's also what happens on the mental side when all of a sudden your pitch is no longer.
Yeah, there's a big transition that pitchers eventually will go to. Everybody that pitches long enough will eventually get to a point in their career where what used to work doesn't anymore. And how do I still survive in this game when it's so competitive? And for Jordan, you know, he's been a dominant fastball guy. Here he is, hit it if you can. And, you know, a lot of that attitude has really played well for him. But now he's finding out that mistake fastballs are no longer, I'm not getting, you know, the same pitch that he might have got a fly ball on or a ground ball or even a hard hit ball at a teammate is now maybe a home run or maybe a double, and it starts wearing on you, and you gotta find a place in your brain that says, all right, I'm willing to make my adjustments. And what I'm trying to say is his fastball is still a very effective pitch, but it might not be his put away pitch anymore. And, you know, is he willing to try to put as much emphasis on his breaking ball or his changeup that he did for all those years on a fastball? Because if he does, and he works just as hard, he might just get the same results that he had. And, you know, those are mind games that pitchers go through.
You see the use of his pitches. That fastball use is among the lowest of his career. Slider use is way up. We've hardly seen a slider tonight.
Yeah, not yet.
We saw one to Jake Cave. That's the pitch that he has broken out, the curveball. I know Rick Anderson really believes in 3 distinct levels of speed, and that's why I think the curveball, because the changeup is upper 80s, is going to be a big pitch for him. I'm not sure he needs to throw it more, but you talked earlier about sequencing and basically how you're setting up your pitches. Might be the next step for Jordan Zimmerman.
Well, that's just it. And I was lucky enough to play with a great teammate of mine who made the transition as well as anybody in the history of the game. That's Frank Tanana. He was a guy that was a dominant power pitcher when he was young with the Angels. And by the end of the career, he had to be more of a finesse pitcher. And he was still locking up hitters with an 88, 85, 84 mile an hour fastball because he was willing to come in. And you and I were talking about that off the air too, about how Rick Anderson wants Jordan Zimmerman to really locate that fastball in off the plate, once in a while stand a guy up and come back in to make that off-speed pitch and his fastball with movement away more effective.
Because he likes to go away to lefties. He can backdoor the slider. The slider is not, he really hasn't used it much, but he'll backdoor with the slider. He can also go to the fastball in that same spot. It's more effective if he's already shown that fastball up and in. Kepler at the plate. He's a young man who I think still has a lot of upside. You've seen him a lot, Jack.
Yeah, here's a kid that I still think has one of the prettiest swings in baseball, and he's shown that he can hit left-handers this year. The slider is not really getting to him that much. You know, he can hit both the fastball and the curveball. It's a matter of which pitch he's sitting on. But for whatever reason, he hasn't put together a consistent year. He's had really good months and then kind of a tough month. And, you know, it's been one of those up and down years for Max.
Still only 25. He has made improvements this year. Runner goes and breaking ball away. Very unusual. This is the second lowest walk rate of Jordan Zimmerman's career, and he's walked back-to-back batters. Well, as you enjoy Miller Lite, look forward to the whole true moment later in tonight's game.
Well, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a young pitcher or a veteran like Jordan Zimmerman. Walks are they're your enemy as a pitcher. You want to be able to command your pitches in the zone and get guys to put the ball in play, make your teammates a part of the game. And nothing worse than having outfielders stand around while you're walking guys and infielders, and they know you're battling out there, but still you want to work quickly and try to get outs, you know, early in counts. And we're seeing a trend in baseball where pitchers are throwing 7, 8 pitches to every hitter. Pitch count gets up, they're out of the ball game early.
This one is foul. Right along the line, but just inches foul, fielded by Chimadusi. Back-to-back walks. Probably hasn't happened two other times all year for Jordan Zimmerman. Still a supreme strike thrower. Now it's a matter of location of those pitches. Really, I mean, it's.
Well, I think it's an indication here we're early in the game, and I think it's an indication that he's being very careful with that fastball. Doesn't want to make a mistake. So he's shown some breaking balls, fell behind both Forsythe and Kepler. And he threw a lot of breaking balls in those 2 at-bats.
Right now, the fastball location is off. Well, we saw Jordan earlier this year, the start before he went on the DL and then the 4 starts after. Precision strike throwing, buried lefties and righties, but it was great confidence. Mixing all of his pitches, and we just haven't seen the same consistency a whole lot since. Soft fly ball here. Easy for Nick. 4 out number 2. Let's celebrate Irish Heritage Night at Comerica Park. You can celebrate this Friday. Tigers host the Royals, 7:10 start. Get a special themed event package. Includes a game ticket, Detroit Tigers Irish Heritage Night hat, and a donation to the United Irish Societies. For more information, visit tigers.com/Irish.
I didn't see Jim Price out there dancing, you know. We can get him going here.
I think we should get the knickers.
Yeah. Be a good look for him.
We'll let him know that he's been.
Oh, I'm sure.
Picked.
I'm sure the word will get out there.
Williams Studio will be swinging if he has a chance.
He will. Astudillo is a guy that has come up to the big leagues, and he's not intimidated by anybody, but he's got a game plan. That's swing. He's walked once, I think, Dan,
and 2 strikeouts.
And yeah, he makes contact, and he makes contact off of the really good pitchers too. He's up there to get on base with a base hit.
He has not been in many 2-0 counts. He's got a 2-0 count here.
In a short period of time, he's become a team favorite. He's kind of a character. Doesn't speak much English at all, but his mannerisms have really had an effect on his teammates, and he's a fun guy to be around.
Off to a heck of a start. Its first shot of major league action, 327 with power. Couldn't lay off the slider. 3 straight sliders.
Yeah,
pretty
good slider right there. You saw the ball started on the plate and then worked its way off the plate. And when you got an aggressive hitter like Astudillo, he's going to chase. And especially now that you're ahead in the count. Or he's not ahead yet. 2 balls, 1 strike.
2 on, 2 outs. Jordan Zimmerman trying to work out of a jam of his own making. Can't get him to chase another slider.
Well, the pitch count starting to work his way up in this half inning. See where the location of those pitches to Astudillo have been, down and away.
Again, if this pitch is close, he will be swinging. And he popped it up. Shallow center field for Reyes. And Jordan Zimmerman walks 2, but gets out of the jam on an easy fly ball. Own power.
One swing in the back can change the outcome of a ball game. Jim Ducey did that yesterday in Cleveland. Big 3-run home run. Got to be fun to celebrate with your buddies at home plate.
Tigers are down 3-2 at the time. That gave them a 5-3 lead. Call of the bullpen brought to you by Wallside Windows. Wallside Windows pitching change. Cole Stewart, the primary pitcher tonight, takes over on the mound for the Twins.
He'll take over here in the bottom half of the second inning. So Gabriel Moya did his job. He got through 1 inning, the top of the lineup against the Tigers. 1 strikeout, gave up the hit to Castellanos, and now Cole Stewart will take over.
Soft chopper to the right side, and an easy play for Forsythe and Maurer. 1 out here in the second with the Twins on top by 1. Menards brings you the big money encounter. As we look at the openers just this month, remember there have been 16 starting pitchers for the Twins this year. Gabriel Moya 3 times. So in those 7 innings, 5 different starts, 7 innings, 7 runs, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. So it hasn't yet really worked. It did today for the Minnesota Twins.
I think really the main reason that some ball clubs are trying to experiment with this whole concept is to avoid that starting pitcher, a young pitcher typically, in this case Cole Stewart, to face the lineup that 3rd time around. And how many innings will that take for him to get through the lineup? If he's efficient, you know, he'll get, let's figure this out, 6 outs or 9 outs twice.
So he can get you. Outs, he can get you to the 5th or 6th inning. Ideally, that one's off the foot of Rodriguez. The Twins threw over to first, but that is a foul.
Paul's going to come out and find out if this is reviewable. I don't know if it is.
Ronnie Rodriguez said, "Hey, it hit my foot. Let's see if he was selling it." Or if it hit him.
We'll get a free look at it here.
Off his toe or by it.
The delayed jump there is what makes me suspicious. But in either case, we're going to play baseball, and that's going to be considered a foul ball.
One of the points that you were making earlier, Jack, about the use of an opener, why you didn't necessarily, I mean, you can understand the logic behind it. This one is foul just fouled on the third base line. You always felt that coming out of the bullpen to the mound in the first inning as a starter was always perhaps going to be your toughest inning, because all of a sudden the two environs are different.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to explain this from a reliever standpoint. What makes a great reliever?
Slider gets the swing and miss for a strikeout of Rodriguez.
Cole Stewart with 2 quick outs. What makes a great reliever is he can come out, throw strikes. And he's usually quick outs out of the bullpen. That's what, if you're a great closer, that's your claim to fame. You come out and get the first guy out, right? And a lot of starting pitchers take a couple innings to get their engine tuned up. And it seemed like the great pitchers of every generation, once they got through the second and third inning, it was hard to get them after that. And of course, that doesn't necessarily equate to the analytics that we're talking about here. But I've always said the hardest inning for me was coming out of the bullpen and throwing strikes, because I got 2 different mounds that I'm working on. I got two different depth perceptions, with the amount of room behind the catcher on the field of the playing surface versus the bullpen. So there's different things that go through your mind, and the great relievers are the guys that can focus and really dominate and have the same release point and same effect early.
Soft little pop-up hill. We'll continue that discussion. Those are 3 easy outs as Polanco makes the grab on the little soft loop. Back at Comerica Park, time now for Chevrolet's most dependable player. And we look at the top 2 hitters in Twins history, at least by hits. The incomparable Kirby Puckett, and Joe Mauer still 200 hits behind him. Rod Carew played for some other teams. What a hitter he was, though. My goodness.
Well, that's a great list right there of Twins greats. And Joe Mauer, like Alan Trammell, my great friend and teammate, played his whole career wearing just that uniform. So he has been consistent throughout his whole career, and he has climbed the ladder in almost all offensive categories as a member of the Minnesota Twins.
And your feeling is a St. Paul boy, while he might be a good fit for other teams, if he's going to play anywhere next year, it's only for the Minnesota Twins.
I just think that, he has a lot of pride wearing the Twins uniform, and I just think his family ties and all the things that Joe would love to win a championship in Minnesota. He was on some postseason teams way back in the late 90s and early 2000s, but every player wants to be on that championship team someday. But that's probably part of his thinking, is he knows, just as the Tigers here know, that both these teams are in rebuilding mode.
I think you have to judge catchers a little differently when you think about their careers and Hall of Fame worthiness. And Joe Mauer, I think people look at the total numbers, 140 home runs, not even 1,000 RBIs, but you remember very few betting titles have gone to catchers through the years, and he won 3, and he was simply one of the best hitters in that stretch, 2005 through 2011, 12. There hasn't really been a catcher like him in terms of the ability to hit for average.
What he was doing as a catcher was pretty remarkable, and that was the peak of his years. Unfortunately, like a lot of guys we know, Dan, concussion got to him. That's what took him away from putting on the gear behind the plate, moved him over first base. And to his credit, you know, I think he should have won a couple Gold Gloves as a first baseman. He's a very good first baseman. And, you know, his catching skills kind of gave him the confidence to dig things out of the dirt from his teammates with errant throws. And, you know, he's got pretty good range over there. His at-bats have slowed down as he's aged. Paul Molitor's done a really good job of being careful not to overwork him, to keep him productive. But I just feel he's got some couple years left, I think. And of course, I'm not the guy to make that decision.
I'm with you. I mean, he's 35. He's seen some flashes this year, certainly against the Tigers, where it looked like the Joe Mauer of old, the way he was driving the ball to left center. This shot is foul on the first base line. Work out a reasonable deal, stay home, keep doing what you love. Like you said, he's still a plus at first base. He's just not going to hit with the power that you probably want out of a first baseman. This is the guy you were talking about. The Twins really missed the first half of the season with a suspension. Slider hit him. Seventh pitch of the at bat, and that brings up Eddie Rosario. Back to the first inning. That was the changeup away. And he just went with it, and that ball jumped off his bat. We've seen that before from Eddie Rosario. He hasn't done heavy damage against the Tigers this year.
One thing about Eddie Rosario, and I think he is what I would call a born hitter. He's a guy that doesn't do a lot of things right, but the one thing he does very well, and that's what's made him such a good hitter, is he throws his hands at the baseball.
That's Ronnie Rodriguez, the lone infielder on the left side, making the catch. It's a tricky time of night, twilight right now in downtown Detroit. He handled that with ease.
Yeah, that sky's not always easy. It's getting darker though, straight up. It's getting above the lights that infielders, outfielders have to worry about a little bit, and once it's above the lights, they usually pick it up and can track it on the way down.
But you're saying with Rosario, the way he just attacks the ball with his hands.
Well, his hands is what guides the barrel. And I know you've worked with a lot of hitters over the years, and guys probably can describe it better than I can, but the really great hitters have a way of barreling up a baseball. And it all comes with their hands, and whether they pull their hands in on an inside pitch or throw their hands, and they have the balance to handle that pitch away. Eddie Rosario is one of those great hitters that balance and using his hands the right way gets the barrel of the bat to the baseball.
It's one of the things that Ron Gardner said when they brought him to spring training when he was just a youngster. He said, I wanted him up, and they wouldn't let me bring him up, but that's what stood out. The hands and the ability to make consistent hard contact. He loves Eddie Rosario. Grossman takes a strike on the outside edge. Jordan Zimmerman's got that call quite a few times tonight against lefties. Both breaking balls and fastballs away. Grossman batting from his weaker left side. Not much power in this bat. He can draw a walk to get on base. Slider misses in. Tonight we've seen that a couple of times to a lefty act more like almost like a cutter instead of the down and in.
A little flatter is what you're calling it. And that's just not getting your hand on top of the baseball and pulling down. It's just kind of pulling through. You catch your fingers through the ball, and that's what a cutter does.
Same pitch.
Robbie Grossman, pretty patient hitter up there. That's one of the pluses that he brings for the Twins.
He's on the disabled list, and the Tigers played the Twins a couple of series last month. He's come off, hit 320 in his 70 at bat since. Again, not much power, but can hit 320, draw a walk to get on base. There's great value in this bat.
Yeah, the Twins had an interview with Robbie on Fox Sports North the other day that I was watching, and he said, you know, all I want to do is keep the line moving. I like that attitude. You know, as a hitter, take a walk, whatever it takes to get on base.
Runner goes, and that slide was early from Polanco. He ran out of momentum as he got to second base. McCann guns him down. Candelario applies the tag. Perfect.
Sand was deep.
By Bell Tire. Tires and auto service, everybody needs a Bell Tire guy. Chevrolet, the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. And by Meridian Care, Medicare Advantage plans. Some shots from a memorable weekend in Cooperstown from my partner Jack Morris. And boy, that's a great sight right there, isn't it?
Well, that's almost, in a way, it's almost a greater honor. I mean, there's a lot of history here in Detroit with their baseball over the years, and to make that ball when I came by today, I want to make sure that the number was still up there. I didn't want it just an etch-off type number.
I want to make sure the rains hadn't washed it away or anything.
Oh boy.
What I mean, when did you feel like you finally got a chance to take a breath after? I mean, this is a summer of a lot of events from the moment you were elected to the Hall of Fame.
You know, it's been a crazy summer, and all good. I mean, it's all been because of baseball, and you know, this great honor of being selected to Cooperstown. But I really won't take a deep breath until postseason's over, till the end of the World Series. I get to work some postseason games for MLB.com, and looking forward to that. It's always fun to be in that environment.
There's nothing like the postseason.
No matter where you go, the teams are excited that their team has a shot.
I remember you mentioned a particularly memorable moment that weekend in Cooperstown when you were just asked to sit on the porch and enjoy the moment. Soft little tapper here to short. Polanco will field and flip over to first. Stay tuned to Tigers Live. Following the game, we'll select the Fox Sports Detroit Tigers Player of the Game presented by McDonald's. Another moment stand out to you, Jack? I just remember that one moment at Cooperstown where you said you got to sit on the porch, and I think it was Johnny Bench said you're a Hall of Famer. Is there another moment that kind of stands out to you, just of all the memories that flood back from the last few months?
Well, the press conference that we had with Peter Gammons on Monday following the induction ceremony, I sat there with my fellow inductees, and we had about an hour discussion, and I thought it was so well done. I thought Peter did such a great job, but I was so impressed with the guys and what their answers were. They were very thought-filled answers and very poignant and to the point. And I just said to myself, I am so lucky to go in with this group of guys because they really get it.
Yeah.
You know, they all appreciated it. It was wonderful.
So it's not just the talent, but also the people that you went into. That was really part of the most fun, maybe.
Well,
and what a group.
We all know what Alan Trammell's all about here in Detroit, but Jim Thome, a guy that I really have a tremendous respect for. I played briefly one year, my last year in Cleveland with Jimmy when he was a young kid, and he never changed, and he still has that same country fun loving just salt of the earth attitude, and you love it. You admire that. You know, he's always been a good person. He's always stayed that way. You know, I was impressed with Trevor Hoffman and you know, some of the words that he said. And Chipper Jones, I think, was very reflectful of some of the things that he did not do right when he was young, and it kind of reminds me of somebody you know sitting next to you. You know, you kind of gain perspective as the years goes by.
Well, how fun to be part of one of the largest classes since the very beginning of the Hall of Fame. 6 players inducted, and the 2 ceremonies here were a lot of fun for everybody here. I know you got feedback on those ceremonies. You enjoyed being part of them, but it was really fun to watch both of you have your numbers retired and to see both those numbers up there proudly displayed on that brick wall. It's pretty neat.
Well, I know, Dan, you do a lot of things for the Tigers as the spokesperson at times, but I got to imagine, you know, I know for a fact that doesn't come around every day. You get to retire numbers, and you did a heck of a job. I have to comment on that. I thought you did a great job. You know, the Tigers really did it right.
Didn't they?
For Tram, for me to relax after I'd already gone through it and watch Alan, you know, in his number celebration weekend, it was just so much fun for me just to realize, you know, the history of this sport in the city and how this city has embraced their sports teams. You know, I'm very proud of it. And the fans should be proud too of what they've done, you know, for Tiger baseball over the years.
Oh, they sure have. I mean, both of you made a point of mentioning that. Look at the draft class in 1976. How about that group?
Yeah.
Ozzie Smith, of course, drafted by the Tigers that same year, and then elected to go back to school for one more year. Pretty good scouting to select 2 Hall of Famers in the same draft in the first 7 rounds. A walk to Candelario, and now Kristen Stewart. Good swing his first time up, just missed hitting his first home run.
Yeah, Cole Stewart with his first walk of the game. Now a base hit, looks like.
That ball is smoked, and a great diving catch by Cave in center field. Wow, he got a great first step jump on a sizzling line drive off the bat of Kristen Stewart. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. here at Comerica Park. Tigers in the first of 3 of the Minnesota Twins. 2 more series left of the 4th series left with Minnesota. First inning home run from Rosario, the difference in the game. Robbie Grossman was at the plate when the 3rd inning ended. And he takes a fastball to start the 4th inning at the plate when Polanco was cut down attempting to steal. James McCann has had an excellent year throwing out base runners, attempting to steal. Backdoor slider for strike 1.
A lot of good things from James McCann. He gets rid of the ball quickly and he has an accurate throwing arm. And he gunned down Polanco trying to get to second base.
So that's the other thing we've seen with that pitch right there, Jack. You could see McCann setting up outside and that pitch came inside.
Yep.
It's not where Zim wanted it.
It hasn't been an easy night yet, although the results haven't been that bad. He's only given up the 1 run. That was the home run to Rosario. But you see, I mean, and a lot of times for the fans that don't quite understand what's going on, think baseball is a boring game, every pitch has a meaning for every player on the field. And if you want to see how good the pitcher is, just watch the catcher's glove and see if he's hitting it all the time. See if he's missing it. How much they have to make adjustments.
That's a fair ball and 1 giant hop into the seats. A double for Robbie Grossman to lead off here in the 4th inning. Just a fly ball in the right spot.
Well, you mentioned the right spot, and that's what this one was all about. It's a ground rule double because it hits the chalk, I believe, or just inside the chalk, and then bounces into the left field stands.
They don't like it anymore.
Since instant replay was instituted, I don't think umpires have gotten that call wrong once. They can only review a ball beyond an umpire fair or foul, and we have, I don't think, ever seen a single review. There was a rather notable postseason miss, but we have not seen one since instant replay was brought in. Before that last pitch, it was almost as many balls as strikes for Jordan Zimmermann. I do think, and that's very unusual, I do think, Jack, that he's trying something. He's trying to do what Rick Anderson wants. We saw a lot of curveballs early. He's throwing that pitch a lot, not as many changeups, but that's what Rick Anderson wants to see. And I think Jordan Zimmermann is trying to change things up a little bit. Line drive here and a high fastball will drop in and give the Twins a 2-0 lead. Big turn and hold for Jake Cave, who just made that great play defensively, and now he gives the Twins a 2-0 lead here in the 4th.
Well, mistake pitch left up, and Cave made him pay for it right there.
Check in with Johnny Kane and Simo. There was some special young men who've had a pretty memorable summer into fall, right, guys?
Oh, you absolutely. You can say that a second time. I'll tell you what, these guys are like rock stars. Grosse Pointe Woods Shores, freshly back from the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And these boys are roaming around here after catching some BP. Now they're taking in a ball game. Pretty good seats out here in right field. But I wanted to ask you guys, man, tell me your name and tell me what you think the most memorable point of your run at the Little League World Series was.
I'm Jaron Purify, and my most memorable thing about the Little League World Series was making a ESPN Top 2 diving play and a home run.
Okay, man. Simo, who's up there?
How about this? I'm here hanging out with Chase Macy here, and he told me you played your pitcher, your right field, first base. Now, I didn't get a chance to play in the Little League World Series. You got that up on me, right? I'm going to live vicariously through you. Can you tell me what was your greatest experience or the most memorable experience in the World Series?
Running out on the field, seeing everyone on the hill and in the stands, and meeting all those people from all around the world. It was just unbelievable experience.
Was it kind of like being out here in the big leagues with all these people watching?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was.
Hopefully one day we'll get a chance to see you out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
There's a chance. There's a chance. There's got some good athletes over here. Tell me your name, young man.
Marlon Matthews.
All right, Marlon. I had a chance to talk to you a little bit earlier, and my understanding, you had a chance to meet some of the Tigers players. Who'd you get a chance to meet?
I met James McCann. That was probably he talked to us about he never got to go to the Little League World Series, and I think he gave one of our players he gave he gave our catcher some batting gloves. Yeah, and that was pretty cool for him. And I got a ball from him too.
That's very cool. And Ron Gardenhire came over, called you guys rock stars. I wanted to know a little bit about you guys. Matthew Boyd came by. I know talked with the guys a little bit. Jamer Candelario came over. So there were a lot of people that have been following what these guys were doing, obviously, throughout their run in the Little League World Series. And now we're rolling out the red carpet for them here. See?
What was the best advice you got today? What was the best? Well, first of all, tell the people at home your name.
Jake Martin.
Jake Martin, what position you play?
Catcher.
Catcher. Oh, so you got the batting glove from James McCann. You're the guy.
Yeah.
Yes, that is awesome. So tell them about your experience. What was the best advice you got today from some of the players?
Have fun.
Have fun and enjoy the game, right?
Yeah.
And don't put any pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Is that the best advice?
Yeah. Probably.
That sounds good. We're having a good time out here, guys. I'm probably having more fun than they are right now, being amongst these stars, you know?
All right, Dan, Jack, I know we got some in-game action taking place here, and Zimmerman's up against it here a little bit.
Those are some big smiles on the faces of those young men. What a great day for them. Great video of players. Ron Gardenhire greeting them. Hey, quarterfinals of the Little League World Series.
Good for them. Something that I promise you, my brother was in the Babe Ruth World Series. And it's something you never forget. And these kids will never forget that, even as young as they are.
To get treated like, as Ron Gardenhire says, rock stars here in a major league ballpark, pretty neat. Jordan Zimmerman is in a jam. A run in, 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, 3 straights hit, a double and 2 singles.
One of the things you notice with Jordan Zimmerman, he's never been a sinker ball pitcher. He's never thrown a 2-seamer, but he has been a guy who could reliably get ground balls throughout his career, Jack. But the last 2 years, the lowest ground ball rate of his career have been the last 2 years, and it's a noticeable drop, way below where he was with Washington. So in situations like this, he has a hard time getting that ground ball when he really needs it with men on base. He's only had a couple of double plays turned behind him all year.
Well, I think the guys that tend to have the best ability to induce a ground ball are sinker ball pitchers, and guys that know how to run a ball down away from a left-hander. In this case, Max Kepler. Hopefully he will roll over one and, you know, it'll be right out somebody. I know for a fact that there are times in the game where, forget the strikeout, you need a ground ball.
Yeah.
And it's probably something you don't work on in the bullpen all that much, but you probably should. And that is, all right, I need to spot a sinker down here. I need to start it on the plate, but I need to roll it off the plate. I'm just going to play a mind game, you know, with my catcher and just see if I can maybe figure out a way to get a guy to get a ground ball.
Gets the fly ball here, but an easy playable ball for Victor Reyes. Whatever wind there is knocked it down a little bit. Reyes gets it in on one crisp hop for out number 1. Well, we're going back to college with Nissan as we look at the college career of Jordan Zimmerman. Remember, defied the odds coming out of Division III Wisconsin Stevens Point. And now you look at the all-time ranks. That must be a pretty strong program if Jordan Zimmerman can't crack the top 3 in wins, ERA.
I think you did a little research, didn't you, Danny? And you found out that he was the first pitcher to make the big leagues.
There were 2, and he's got the lowest ERA.
Lowest ERA, okay, sorry.
The other had an ERA over 10. So he is first all time among all Wisconsin Stevens Point pitchers who reached the major leagues in lowest ERA. Here's a ground ball, but it gets through past a diving Lugo into right field. Cave on his way home, and throw won't be in time. The throw to third, not in time either.
McCann did a really nice job there of fielding the ball from right field and then making a good throw down third base, but just a great slide there at third base by Logan Morrison.
Great reaction is right. The throw actually there, and did he make contact? Tigers may review.
Did he touch him up on the upper body?
I thought he did.
It looked like he might have got the glove on him. We'll see. When the throw goes home, then Forsythe takes off to third. And no, Joe Vavra says no.
That's some good camera work there. A replay on Joe Vavra saying no. So run in 3-0 and hard contact here in the 4th inning. This young man saw nothing but sliders his first time up. Runner goes, soft little ground ball cued to second base. Lugo will field and flip, but Estudillo gets another run home. 4-0 now Twins. Adrianza in motion gets down to second base. He's there with 2 outs.
Well, that wasn't the prettiest at bat, but he does get the job done, scoring Forsythe from third base. Nothing that Lugo could do at second base but to go to first.
Now big batter to get here in Joe Mauer, game 4-0. It always seems like that once the lead gets to 5, the hill just becomes that much steeper. You're always within 1 swing of the bat when it's 4 or fewer. Joe Mauer has been a tough out at times this year for the Tigers. They've really done a nice job against him for the most part in recent years.
You know, we talked about it early, and as Jordan Zimmerman pitches his 70th pitch already of this game, pitch count becoming an issue, but you know, he doesn't have electric stuff. The stuff is still good, but the command is what the issue has been. And he's made some pitches that are mistakes out over the plate. I mean, that's where you can't make mistakes. If you miss, you have to miss off the plate, and he's left a few balls up and over.
Do you think the key for him, I know Rick Anderson's been getting him to try to work, and maybe it's something that's really hard to do in season because he's always liked to throw the fastball up, just to live now down in the strike zone for the most part with the fastball?
Well, again, I say this, and you can put any name you want on the mound, and you can certainly plug in Zimmerman's name right now when I say what I'm going to say. He hasn't made anybody uncomfortable. He's got to pitch in. He's got to make them move their feet. He's got to make them aware that he is willing to show that he owns the inside part of the plate, and then the outside part of the plate, which is really his go-to area, will become more effective. I've been saying that for years. I know people that listen to me are probably sick and tired of hearing it, but it still stands true.
As you say, the fastball can still be a big pitch even when you've lost something out, depending on how you use it.
There's the usage in today's game for Jordan.
That's just about where he was coming in. A few more curveballs, not as many changeups, but that's again not a pitch he throws much. And that's going to make it a 5-0 game. Solid line drive single will score Adrianza. 5-0 Twins. But I think your point's a good one. The damage that has been done in this game and in other games, especially when you see the home runs and how they have jumped over the last 60 innings. Pitches up.
Yep, that was another mistake pitch right there.
Tigers fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the Fox Sports app. Download the Fox Sports app. Take Fox Sports Detroit, the Tigers with you. Made available by Oakland University. Rick Anderson heads out to the mound. It's a frustrated Jordan Zimmerman, I think.
Body language says it all right there. And
really frustrated. I think your point earlier is worth remembering, that it's been injuries that certainly the last 2 years. He's been healthier this year, but you can't help but think that since the All-Star break, when he got his second injection in the back, that he hasn't been as effective in the second half of the season. You talk to him, he says, I feel fine for a 32-year-old.
Yeah. This time of year is tough on all players when you're not in the hunt. Twins and Tigers playing, for all purposes, a meaningless game here, other than guys are trying to show organizations that they're a valuable part of next year. And for Jordan, you got to find simple little things to show signs of improvement. That's all you really want as you go out and finish off the season is, can I do something that I can go into the offseason saying I was making progress?
I mean, the pluses for him this year, for all the struggles in the second half, the lowest walk rate of his career and the second highest strikeout rate of his career. May not sound like much, but at least that's something. I think you're right. It's important. He's got 2 more starts after this one. Take a good feeling into the postseason and maybe a plan for what he wants to do in 2019. The Tigers have him for 2 more years. we have seen the upside for Jordan Zimmermann. It wouldn't necessarily, would it, be a drastic change in how he has to pitch, but it will have to be an adjustment.
If you ask me, you know, what went wrong today, it's got to be one word: location. He was missing too many pitches. You know, it's not necessarily selection, it was where he threw the ball, and now he's not going to cover first. And that's just a mental lapse right there. You've got to, anything hit to your left, you've got to just sprint over to the mound or over to first. I don't think this was even close. I think Polanco just outran him to the bag.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, that was
safe.
And that will be the end of the night. A tough night for Jordan Zimmermann. 8 men to the plate, 5 runs in for the Twins, and they've still got 2 on here in the 4th inning. While the Tigers make the change, trailing by 5. We'll pause for these words on Fox Sports Detroit. Brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be. Go to Comerica. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives the Motor City. And by Wallside Windows, we can do that. We are the factory. What a day that was. Steamy day. He looked pretty cool and dry.
Oh, that was deception. It was warm.
And that is such a great sight. Those 2 numbers and names fit quite nicely on that brick wall in left center field.
Well, there's room for more.
Zach Reininger takes over on the mound for the Tigers. He inherits a 2-on, 2-out jam, 4 runs in and a 5-0 Minnesota lead. The fly ball to center is playable for Reyes. Back a few steps. 1 pitch for Reininger to get the final out in the 4th. 9 men to the plate and 4 runs for the Twins. Disappointed Jordan Zimmerman in the dugout talking things over with his catcher James McCann. Just a tough night. He just didn't seem to have that one pitch to go to tonight, Jack.
Well, he left too many pitches up and over the plate, and the Twins have done a pretty good job of being able to capitalize on that. It's just one of those nights, and hopefully there will be some better ones ahead, but it clearly wasn't Jordan's night tonight.
Cole Stewart, first-round pick 5 years ago for the Minnesota Twins out of high school in Texas. There have been a few high schoolers out of the state of Texas.
More than a few.
To make it to the major leagues. Kind of had to reinvent himself. Talk about reinventing yourself. He's still young, but reinventing himself on the way to the major leagues. Castellanos takes a pitch high to make it 2-1.
Now, when your team scores you a crooked number, 4 in this case, you want to go out there and attack that first guy. Trouble is, the first guy in the lineup for Cole right now is the Tigers' best hitter. And we were talking about his first at bat. He got a base hit. And Nick is the kind of guy that has shown me that his balance is really good. His timing is spot on. And when things like that are happening, whether you're a hitter or a pitcher, when your body control is in control, you seem to have better results. Starts this inning off with the walk.
And that will prompt a quick visit to the mound by the new pitching coach this year for the Twins, Garvin Alston. But that walk is part of what Nick has been doing. This is now 32 games, 3 years running, Jack, identical below average walk rate. And the really good hitters generally year after year can't have a low walk rate, a below average walk rate. In the last month, Nick has bumped his walk rate. It's been right at 6% his entire career. He's at 12%, so he's basically doubled it in the last 32 games. I think that's a really significant step for Nick Castellanos to take the next level in terms of his off. And there's another level, I think, for him. He's still young. He had to draw more walks.
It's a sign that he's learned some patience. And let's face it, we talk about giving away at bats. Well, if he would have swung out of the zone there and hit into a ground ball or a fly ball, that's giving an away at bat. Take what that pitcher is willing to give you. Now, Cole Stewart had a long half inning. Twins scored 4 runs, and he comes out and he misfires the first guy. Take what the team is willing to give you. Nick's on first base. Now good things can happen for Detroit. That's the way to crawl back into a game that seems to be a blowout so far.
Fastball away to Victor. Remember, Gabriel Moya started. Just the opener went 1. So this is the end of the first trip through the lineup for Cole Stewart. Seems odd to say as he's facing the cleanup hitter, but he started with the number 5 hitter Adduci in the second inning. Popped up, out of play.
And for young pitchers, it'll be interesting to watch as this unfolds. He's got a catcher that he's not all that familiar with in Ostadillo, and how they navigate from this point on. When you get a 4-run lead, you tend to want to throw more fastballs, maybe throw more strikes, get ahead of hitters. That's what his pitching coach, I'm sure, came out to tell him is, look, you got 4 runs to work with. Let's throw strikes. There's no more free passes there, Billy Boy. And so maybe Victor can sit on a fastball here.
He did. He drilled it, and it's going to be too hard. Rosario is shaded toward the line, makes the catch for the first out. A good swing for Victor. Well, the Tigers host the Twins tomorrow and on Wednesday. We've got a night game and a day game coming up here at Comerica Park. Enjoy great savings. It's the weekday value pack. 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 chips, and 4 sodas for as little as $20 per person. For tickets, go to tigers.com/value. Well, that's a different perspective. I love that. So did you go all the way out just to make sure that it was not fading in any way?
I have not. I trust that they did a good job.
One of the more interesting phenomena that we talk about from time to time, because not all pitchers. There's a line drive that will drop. Good swing for Adduci. Fastball away, and Rosario falls down, and that is not good. Rounding third, heading home, Castellanos, and Adduci will make it to third. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. Eddie's been fighting a hamstring, and they've been very careful with him, but this might be something worse than that. He fielded that ball.
Oh, boy.
And it was very awkward in the way he went down.
He went down. That's not good. He knows this is something serious. This is arguably the position players had the best year for the Minnesota Twins. Solid defense, above average defense in left, production with the bat, and that look on his face. If you're a Twins fan, if you're a baseball fan, that has to have you worried.
Well, it's right when he's fielding the ball. Oh, he slipped. Oh my! His right leg got underneath, and he's grabbing his knee. Let's watch how he kind of slips when he plants here, and his right leg gets caught underneath him. And then his right knee maybe is what got turned, and that, oh.
He's an exciting player. You just like the good players to stay healthy and be on the field. And we've seen far too many of the good ones on the DL this year. So they are working on that right leg, right knee. It's hard to tell. A lot of concern. The entire Twins team is out there. Well, that's good to see him get up and flex that right leg and right knee.
Well, if he can put weight on it, it's probably not near as serious as it looked. I'm sure they're going to take him out anyway as precautionary.
But that's good to see. He's not favoring it as much as I thought he might be. And we just hope that the news is good on Eddie Rosario. It's a single, and then an error on Rosario allows Castellanos to score and gets Jim Adduci over to third. So the Tigers get on the board, and the Twins will have to replace their star left fielder Eddie Rosario in this game. Johnny Field, who just had a big day yesterday, a 4-hit game with a home run. He had not really done a whole lot since being picked up. He'll take over in left field. So again, a single for Adduci. The error scores the run, but the Tigers now with a chance to make this quite quickly a 5-2 game with a hit or a sacrifice fly.
Well, we don't want to dwell on the injury, and obviously Eddie Rosario is probably going to be okay, mere fact by the way he's walking right now. But let's talk about what's happened for the Tigers this bottom half of the fourth inning. Leadoff walk comes around to score. Nick Castellanos takes the base, and then Victor hits a ball hard to Rosario in left. He made a nice play on that one. And then Adduci hits another one to hit Rosario's left in the gap. And that's when this apparent injury happened. Tigers on the board. And hasn't been a real clean inning so far for Cole Stewart.
So in at the corners, middle of the infield back, a ground ball to the middle of the infield scores another run, a slider low and away. What I was about to ask earlier, Jack, one of the more interesting phenomena, some pitchers pitching with a big lead get out of what they were doing earlier, and some either don't like it or don't perform well with a big lead. Was that ever a problem for you?
Well, I totally understand. You know, you don't necessarily want to sit around, but you don't mind guys scoring for you either.
Right.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You just got to really focus so hard on that first hitter. You need that first out. That's the momentum changer, and it's what takes the winds out of the sails of a team that wants to come back in. The Tigers need to figure out a way to get this runner at third in. Jim Adduci's less than 90 feet away at third base, and if the Tigers are going to get back in this game, somehow they got to put him across home plate.
Stewart's not a big swing and miss guy. Actually more walks than strikeouts coming into this game. 15 walks and 14 strikeouts in his 25 innings of work. Line drive, good swing, out number 2.
Rodriguez went down after this ball and was able to barrel it up, but unfortunately Polanco's standing right there. Ball didn't have near the carry that it looked like it was going to have off the bat. Another look at it right here. You see how he goes down and still gets the barrel of the bat on the ball. But The old Adam ball, sometimes pitcher's best friend.
Well, it leaves it up to James McCann to get that runner home from third now with 2 outs.
He got the shift on the left side from McCann. He's got the whole right side other than Joe Mauer. A lot of room over there if he can shoot the ball the other way.
It will be the endless ongoing debate as long as teams shift or allowed to shift. Why can't guys just shoot the ball the other way more?
You know, for a lot of left-handed hitters, they always talk about, well, why don't he just lay down a bunch? He's got the whole left side. Nobody's even standing there. Well, I think it's got to be easier for a hitter to just put the bat on the ball. You know, how many times during batting practice can you just stand up there and hit a ball the other way easily on a ground? I mean, it doesn't have to be a line drive.
And yet, talking with Lloyd McClendon, the Tigers hitting coach this year, said if it was easy,
yeah,
teams wouldn't still be shifting.
Amazing the point that he breaks.
Shot here almost hit a doozy. Whoa. Feeling fortunate that he's getting up.
We used to call that one an ugly finder. And I'm not saying anything about a doozy, but somehow that ball misses him.
Woo. Wow.
Man, that was close.
I look back.
Are you my friend?
The 2-1. Curveball misses. McCann's pretty aggressive, doesn't walk a whole lot. This pitch is close, pretty good chance he'll be swinging. He's had a good swing on the 2-0. Tigers looking to get that runner home from third with 2 outs. We're in the 4th inning. Tigers down 4. Good job by McCann. What did you say Robbie Grossman like to say? Keep the line moving.
Yep. 3rd walk of the game for Cole Stewart.
Lloyd McClendon always says put something in the bucket today. Do something today to help your team win. That's a good at bat for James McCann. And the Twins bullpen starting to stir. Nobody throwing yet, but you would think the Twins are looking for at least 3, 4, 5 innings from Cole Stewart. But the walks here in the 4th inning helping the Tigers perhaps get right back in this game. Fastball, a lot of movement. Lugo taps it foul right at home plate. Lots of good at-bats for this young man coming up from the minor leagues after hitting .269 at Toledo. Not much power, but he was in that series in New York especially driving the ball to the gaps. Everything was a line drive. And now teams are spinning the ball just a little bit more, and it's been a tough week or so for Dawel Lugo. A lot to like about what we have seen, though, from the guy. If you talk about the middle infield prospects, Alcantara, Paredes, Castro, he would probably be maybe 3rd or 4th in that group, but he's here first, and he's got an opportunity at second base playing almost every day.
You make a great point. It's what you do with your chances, with your opportunities. You just don't know how many you're going to have, and you got to try to make the most out of every one of them.
That curveball got him in his first at bat. He took it for a called third. He takes it here for strike 2. It's a heck of a curveball from Cole Stewart. Now the 1-2. Couldn't hold off chasing the breaking ball in the dirt. Astudillo throws down to first to complete the strikeout on this date in history. We'll relive a pretty memorable moment. 1968, the Tigers clinch. Time now for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. On this date in 1968, bottom of the ninth, 1-1 game. Yankees-Tigers downward drives an Al Kaline the winning run to clinch the 68 American League pennant. The Tigers 29th come from behind win that season on their way to the World Series just a couple of weeks later. What a great scene. What great footage. Bark in the Park night here at Comerica Park.
So different, you know. Al Kaline just goes over and shakes Dickler's hand. You know, no high five, no.
He just
crazy.
Shakes.
No
and
water,
then the celebration.
no water jugs on any players.
Zach Reininger on the mound. He came in last inning. A wall side windows pitching change. Robbie Grossman at the plate. He started last inning with a double as a fly ball in the right spot, but touched off a stretch where first three reached, and then Jordan Zimmerman was done. He gave up a total of 6 hits in that 4th inning. Zach Reininger last time out. This is an intriguing arm. He has not tasted much success at the major league level. That pitch seems to be an addition to his repertoire of pitches. And the curveball last time out was really quite good. So there's a mid-90s fastball. He really had to refine a secondary pitch, and now it looks like the curveball may be a real weapon for him.
Well, he doesn't realize it, but you know, the failure of the Tigers to be competitive and in the hunt in postseason baseball has given him an opportunity. He might not have been called up to get a little taste of the big leagues, and you know, now he's got a chance to show Ron Gardner, his manager, Rick Anderson, his pitching coach, and everybody else that he belongs here, that he should be a part of it.
Power arms are what the Tigers are looking for. Swing and miss guys. The Tigers right now near the very bottom in the American League in bullpen in terms of strikeout rate. 8 per 9 innings is low these days. The best are above 10 strikeouts per 9 for their bullpen. As we look at the defensive formation against Grossman, not quite the overshift. There's the curveball and a beauty.
Yeah, great location right there.
How about Greg Gibson telling Grossman, go back to the bench?
Well,
Grossman's
I don't know.
complaining. That was a heck of a pitch.
I think he was wondering if he called it on a swing or not, and maybe wanted to know, but it was all location. You can see that it was a well-located pitch. I think it crosses the plate, front part of that plate in the zone, high enough.
You're done here. I think you're right. He might have been arguing, I checked my swing. That wasn't the point. It was a beauty of a curveball. I'm intrigued by what Zach Reininger has shown us the last couple of times out with the curveball. The power arms, and there are several in this bullpen who are certainly trying to make an impression for 2019. There's not a whole lot left for Zach Reininger to do at AAA.
No, that's just it. You know, if a guy's going to be a big leaguer, you got to put him in the big leagues and see if he survives it. And 94 with location should work at any level. He just spotted that fastball outside on the block.
And before it was the fastball was hittable because he just didn't have that other pitch to go to. And
I wish he would just, and James McCann is the guy that's got to help him with this. Just go in. You got a couple pitches to miss here. Go ahead and straighten the guy up. Show him that you've got that mental fortitude to command. You know, I want to live away. So if I'm going to live away, I've got to be able to show you that I'm willing to come in. You stay away, and every hitter can adjust. Yeah.
And truly, just one pitch off the plate in changes the whole feel of that hitter at the plate.
Can see the pitches there, all 4 of them off the plate away. Another one away. Pretty good swing, 95, and that's too good a swing.
Yeah.
Ball's up in the zone. Guy's starting to time it, sees a few fastballs. You got 95 plus and guys are on the ball. That's on you as a pitcher. Something hasn't done right. You haven't been able to show them something different that makes them comfortable.
Again setting up away. The fastball pops the glove up and away. Does he go back to the curveball right here?
Well, I don't think he's got a choice. If he's not going to show anything in, and they're going to set up away again.
Curveball cut a lot of the plate. Pretty sharp break.
It was a good pitch. Yeah, he's not going to have great command of that at this point in his career, but it had good break. And it was keeping Jake Cave out in front a little bit. Quite a difference between 95 and 80. So it works as an off-speed pitch too.
Again, the 3-2. He got him to chase. 8th pitch of the at-bat.
Well, you can never predict that you're going to get a swing with a pitch this far off the plate. But let's see all the locations. You can see everything is away, and then he finally gets him to chase up and away out of the zone. And I call that just a little bit of a break for a pitcher, because that's not by design.
I think your point's a good one, though. I mean, just in off the plate, move a little bit.
You got 2 quick strikes. You have nothing to do but waste a pitch in and set a purpose for it.
Fastball up to Forsythe.
Dan, I just strongly believe that major league hitters, anything under triple digits is hittable for them if they see it 2-3 times in an at bat. And especially if they see it on the same side of the plate.
Velocity doesn't, I mean, if you keep seeing it in the same spot, 97, 98.
You kind of take it out of the equation.
Yeah.
And that's why Rick Anderson is so trying to preach these guys 3 different pitches in location and changing eye angles, eye levels, but in and out too.
I don't think there's any question he's had an impact on Zach Reininger. I mean, that curveball is new and it's been very effective.
It's a big league pitch. I mean, but his go-to pitch, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and look what Logan Forsythe was right on it, because the ball was left right over the middle of the plate. He's in the on-deck circle watching Jake Cave and the previous, or excuse me, Robbie Grossman, and then Jake Cave, and so he's seen all these pitches from the on-deck circle.
Bounces the curveball.
In this type of ball game where the Tigers are trailing by 4 runs, even if he hit him in the knee or hit him in the calf or hit him in the ankle, home plate umpire is not going to question that. You know, the lead doesn't dictate that you're throwing at anybody. Right. And I'm not suggesting that you hit guys, but sometimes you move it, throw it at their ankle. They're going to move their feet. That's the easiest part to get out of the way, is jump and move. And it makes them uncomfortable.
Yanked the fastball on the 3-2. Couple of strikeouts, now a walk to Forsythe. He's been on 3 times. Well, Pistons make their first visit to East Lansing since the 2000 preseason. They'll take on the Cleveland Cavaliers Friday, October 12th at the Breslin Student Event Center, 7 o'clock start. For tickets, visit msuspartans.com, or you can call 517-355-1610. Pistons and Cavs at the Breslin. .21 pitches thrown to 3 batters. Now a curveball down and in. So away with the curveball to left. He's now down and in to Max Kepler. Gets the swing and miss.
Yeah, Gardy's got Lugo playing on the grass at second base. And now they got the complete shift over there. Candelario playing behind second base.
So curveball in, curveball away. Max Kepler has walked, hit a fly ball to center. Rosario with a home run before he left the game with an injury in the Tigers' bottom of the 4th inning. It was just a succession of really hard hit balls last inning. Grossman, Cave, Forsythe to start the inning. Adrianza, Maurer, Polanco to end it. Foul out of play to our left makes it 1-2 on Max Kepler. But you think of the young men in this rotation or in this bullpen who are trying to make an impression for next year. Zach Reininger, one of them. Sandy Baez did not have good numbers in the minor leagues. ERA well over 5. He has not given up a run in the major leagues in 9 innings. With a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball, he certainly is making people sit up and take notice. And of course, Victor Alcantara.
You know, you just brought up a good point that a lot of people say, how can that happen, right? How can a guy have very little success in AA or AAA, get to the big leagues, and all of a sudden, for a short period of time anyway, have some success? Well, I always say that for pitchers, sometimes in the minor leagues, guys are so aggressive. They're swinging out of the zone a lot. But at the big league level, they're more patient. And sometimes if you just throw it over, you know, you're getting crushed in the minor leagues. But at the big leagues, they're like, what's he doing? You know, he's messing with me here. He's throwing one down the middle.
Brent Strom, with the pitching coach of the Astros, always says, hey, the middle of the plate can be your friend if you
Sometimes.
Sometimes if you.
I recommend the bottom half of the middle.
High fly ball to center. Reyes barely has to move. A walk does no harm. A good inning for Zach Reininger. Tigers still trail by 4. A night for baseball in downtown Detroit. Start of a 7-game homestand to end the home portion of the 2018 schedule. Tigers down 4, and we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Our pleasure to have Jack Morris, the Hall of Famer, in the booth tonight. Special appearance. That's the way to start off a homestand.
Well, it's fun to be back in Detroit and watch two teams that were certainly an integral part of my career. I'm kind of as most Tiger fans know, I have a lot of love for this city and for this ball club. I've been working for the Twins for a few years, so I know a lot about them. But people ask me all the time, when they play each other, Jack, who do you cheer for? And I always say, whoever wins. That way I can't go wrong.
You always come away at the end of the day 1-0.
Well, I picked the winner too.
World champs banner from '84. Breaking ball in the dirt from Victor Reyes. That was maybe the best part of being part of those ceremonies with you and Tram and that one dinner, that just to relive a lot of the memories and the moments from that season, giving a lot of people a chance just to go back and revisit many things that happened that year, things that I had forgotten certainly, and many others might have as well. And that was really one of the fun parts about this summer and being a part of those ceremonies. Reyes chases on a 3-2. Let's take a look at our bell tire, pitch by pitch. This is the Jack Morris forkball. That was the no-hitter on a chilly day in Chicago.
Well, the Tigers have a young pitcher that they signed that has a lot of promise, throws a split finger, which is a variation of the forkball. And that was a pitch that I had a lot of success with once I learned how to command it, because it changed eye levels, it changed speeds. It was not as hard as my fastball, and a hitter couldn't look for both a fastball and that, and if they were guessing wrong, they had a tough day.
One of the things you always hear, Jack, about the splitter or forkball is it's a risk of injury. I mean, you are not a believer in that.
Well, number one,
easy for Mauer at first.
Cole Stewart for the second out. Number one, you have to have big fingers. You can see how easy it is for me to spread my fingers on a forkball. A lot of guys with smaller fingers can't get the ball in there, so it tends to be what they call a split finger, which is more like this, and you're really just throwing a ball, and it ends up being more of a changeup. It doesn't get the downward movement. To throw a forkball, you got to spread your fingers, and when you throw the ball, you're pulling through, and the ball comes out of your fingers like a curveball. It's got that kind of rotation, so that's why you get the dive and the drop. A regular split finger is only going to kind of fade, and it drops because of gravity, not because you're trying to get the right right rotation. But as you can tell by spreading my fingers how much pressure that's going to put on my elbow, and then try to throw a baseball. So you've got to really continually work on your elbow strength, doing exercises in order to build the muscles around the tendon that could be torn. That's the problem with a forkball, is so many guys are worried about what it can do to lead to Tommy John.
And you had specific exercises for that pitch.
I kept a lot of my forearm muscles strong, and you know, I threw it for a lot of years, and I threw a lot of them.
And we talk about it because Casey Mize was the Tigers' #1 pick, and we'll talk about it when we come back. We're talking forkballs and splitters because this young man, that's his pitch, the split finger fastball. Casey Mize, the #1 overall pick that everybody is excited about. And we wanted to talk about that with a guy who knows a little bit about it, and Jack Morris on Bark in the Park night.
That's not him, by the way. That's not Casey or Jack.
This has been a hugely popular event. It's 4 games this year. That's how popular Bark in the Park has become. But we wanted to talk with you about it, Jack, because I think that's what a lot of people, you hear it. I mean, people worry about. Casey Mize throws the splitter a lot. Does that mean he's injury prone? There's a deep fly ball to center or at risk of it. When we had him in the booth, he said he's thrown it his whole life, so
well,
he knows how to.
He doesn't spread his fingers as wide as I did. I can tell you that right now. And you saw the movement of those pitches we just showed you on the screen. he didn't have that big break because he's not getting that curveball rotation. With that said, he's getting enough downward break that it changes the look for the hitter, and he's also not putting as much pressure on his elbow. So that's probably why all his life he's thrown it. He's whatever workout regimen he's got is working for him, and I don't think it's going to affect him as he moves forward because he's not spreading his fingers as far, which doesn't put as much pressure on that elbow.
And again, if you did throw a forked ball, you believe strongly that you can do the exercises to maintain the elbow strength.
I believe that, you know, I mean,
but it's amazing how that pitch really is not widely used.
No, it
at all.
It became very fashionable for about a decade and a half, and then it just disappeared because too many people thought it was going to be a career-ending injury with, you know, a torn ligament in your elbow and possible Tommy John surgery.
You never had a problem with your elbow.
I did. It eventually got me. To where
very late.
It was very late. It was at the end of my career.
The 1-2 shot hit hard, but easy grab for Lugo. A step to his left for the second out. Zach Reininger in his third inning of work. He threw one pitch to get the last out of the fourth inning. A short start for Jordan Zimmerman. Short, tough start for him tonight. And now Zach Reininger looking to give the Tigers at least 2 1/3 and maybe more. You wouldn't think so, but this has been a nice quick inning after a long fifth inning.
Well, for the most part, he's come in and thrown strikes. He's got the 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, that Logan's Forsythe, but he's come and got ahead in counts, and you know that always works better for everybody. Got a live fastball. And it seems to be a fairly simple, easy delivery. It's nothing mechanically. He's throwing the ball well. Tall, lanky right-hander.
Tiger fans know the names of the top prospects, many of them pitchers in the Tigers organization, but you're going to need to have some other guys. And this still is a prospect, but he kind of has fallen behind some of the other bigger names, but this is still a guy who can help this bullpen in the years ahead. And you're going to need some of these guys to hit. Routine fly ball to Kristen Stewart. Rookie to rookie.
Nice inning.
According to MLB.com, the pipeline, Casey Mize went right to the very top, but you see the top 5 are all pitchers. Matt Manning has a lot of people excited with the year that he had. Kristen Stewart is here. Willie Castro just picked up in a trade. That number 10 prospect made it up to Double-A. Kyle Funkhauser, I think, has a lot of people excited. He made it to Triple-A by the end of the year, as did Daz Cameron. and Parker Meadows. There's a little flare into right field. Nick Castellanos on an 0-1.
Boy, that's some good hitting right there. Pulls his hands. That's the typical Derek Jeter patented that swing, but Nick Castellanos, ball down and in. It's usually going to eat up a hitter if he tries to pull the ball, and Nick pulls his hands in there, barrels the bat up, shoots it the other way. That's some really good hitting right there.
That's what we've been watching all year with Nick. Great consistency.
See how he pulls his hands in there and puts the barrel of the bat on the baseball. Got jammed a little bit, but he's so strong, is able to fight it off. And
that was Derek Jeter-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great comparison, because nobody did it better than him. Ground ball to first here is going to be 2. 3-6-3 on the double play, and just like that, it's 2 outs, base is empty.
Well, that was what I was worried about when I had him as my pick to click. He hit it hard, pick the stick, excuse me. He hit it hard right at Mauer, and then the Twins had all the time in the world to get the double play.
Here's our Xfinity high-speed pitch. We look at Cole Stewart's offerings. Remember, he came on in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he throws as high as 95 miles an hour. It seems to be a little effort for Cole Stewart. He's got very good mechanics. Primarily a fastball, but a good curveball tonight. And this whole primary pitcher role is turning out pretty good for him, especially when he has a big lead after the 4th inning.
Minor league numbers certainly suggest, and the stuff we're seeing tonight, Jack, suggests that this could be a nice piece for the Twins going forward. 25 innings this year, nothing jumps out at you, more walks than strikeouts, but in the minor leagues, low walks, good strikeout rate this year for the first time. And like we just saw, he's got a fastball up to 95, and he's got, it looks like a complete repertoire of pitches.
Yeah, he's a guy that, like the men we just showed you, the prospects for the Tigers, he's been on the Twins' radar in the minor leagues for quite some time, and you know, everybody's kind of wondering in Twins territory, like, well, how's this Stewart kid going to do? Well, we're getting a good look at him, and he's had some good outings so far.
That's a really good slider to dispatch a lefty, Jim Adduci. Tigers still trail by 4 after 6.
And I came out and I threw I think I went 7 innings, and I had, I think, 10 punch outs. I mean, I threw it really well, and they're like, hey, they're like, yeah, that was pretty good. Good first start. So,
not exactly the best hitting club, though.
I mean,
it didn't matter, though, to him.
Well, you don't want to miss tomorrow night. It's going to be another fun broadcast. as another Fox feature, The Road to the Show. Join us as we explore what it takes to get to the big leagues. All your coverage begins, of course, with Tigers Live at 6, right here on Fox Sports Detroit. A lot of elements to that. It's going to be a fun night. And Johnny Kane, you were there with Daniel Stumpf at San Jacinto Junior College in Texas when you had a chat with his coach from his junior college days.
Yeah, it's San Jack. Those guys, they have a heck of a program out there, and they gave Daniel an opportunity to come out there and pitch, even though he didn't have very many innings under his belt coming out of high school. But anyway, they gave him a shot. He went out there. They made it all the way to the finals of the Junior College World Series. And, you know, he really credits, you know, from Coach Kohler and everybody else there, you know, cultivating the right type of mindset and the work ethic it took. Obviously, it comes up through the, you know, Phillies organization. Now, of course, we have him here in Detroit. So everybody has a unique story to get here. You know that, Jack, you know that. So Daniel's got a story to share. We talk about Jim Adducey tomorrow as well, playing a year and a half in Korea. We'll sit down with Ron Gardenhire and Toby Gardenhire, you know, kind of about those guys' unique path to get to, you know, pro ball. And it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun pregame show and then throughout the telecast for sure.
No, looking forward to it.
Yeah, good stuff. It's like you said, everybody's got a story, and I can't believe his coach would throw him under the bus like that. You know, all I could think about is Billy Consolo. You tell a good story and people might believe you. You know, it might be really good. And then the coach has to drop that one out. Yeah, well, they weren't very good.
They weren't a very good hitting team.
Come on.
Daniel's telling his favorite memory.
Yeah. They're the best hitting team in the history of mankind.
Just run with it for a little bit. Well, Daniel Stumpf is, you know, again, you talk about who can be at peace. Wallside Windows pitching change. Daniel Stumpf went down to the minor leagues in early August. It was performance-based. He just wasn't getting out lefties or righties. ERA climbed above 7. He has looked like a different pitcher since his return. Fly ball here, long run for Castellanos. Now he slows down and makes the catch going toward the corner. 2 up, 2 down quickly for Daniel Stumpf. Well, Tigers take on the Kansas City Royals this Saturday. It's a 6:10 start. First 10,000 fans are getting a 1968 themed Detroit Tigers Hawaiian shirts. For tickets, go to tigers.com.
Oh my.
That's how you watch a ball game. Lapdogs.
Yeah.
Every dog, no matter what size.
Oh, yeah, they all think they are.
Believes.
Where's the St. Bernard? The Great Dane. They're all out there.
They all believe they're lapdogs. Robbie Grossman takes a fastball in. It has been the confidence, you can just see it growing appearance by appearance for Daniel Stumpf. This is now his 10th appearance since his return. 9 2/3 innings, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts with the 2 outs that he's gotten in this inning. That's a big change, and the stuff really looks sharp right now.
Coming after the hitters. 0-2 now on Grossman. That's a good way to start your first half inning.
Line drive here will drop in fair. Robbie Grossman's second double of the night. A fly ball double, now a sharp line drive double.
Yeah, I think he tried to sneak that fastball by him there, and big league hitters are pros for a reason. They're not going to let anything sneak by, especially a fastball. See, he left it up, middle half in. And Robbie Grossman, that's been his bread and butter pitch for his entire career, so he didn't miss it. And the good ones rarely do.
Yeah. 8th hit of the night for the Twins. 9 men to the plate in a 4-run fourth. That's the difference in the game right now. 5-1 Twins in the 7th. Stumpf starting to showcase that really good slider against lefties. The slider here is hit deep to center by a lefty, but hauled in by Reyes about 400 feet from home plate. Coming up, it's a Consumers Energy 7th inning stretch. Hurricane Florence urgently needs support. You can help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to all of the families who've been affected. Donate today by going to redcross.org. You can also text Florence to 90999 and you can give $10 immediately to Red Cross Hurricane Relief. Cole Stewart still on the mound. It's been an impressive start for him. Well, I'm sorry, an impressive primary pitcher appearance. An impressive PPA.
He's pitched well. He was given a lead early on here in the 4th inning and came in to pitch the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. And the 6th inning. So he's done a good job for the Twins here.
Protecting the plate. Rodriguez fouls it out of play. Long road for Ronnie Rodriguez to finally show off the power he had displayed at AAA. Had a nice stretch, 17 games where he hit with power and line drives like that into center field. Well, Johnny's got the tough assignment tonight. He's got to go out there and where all the dogs are, make some friends. And you've made a friend, Johnny.
What about this, huh? What about Schmiegel?
You got to wait, Johnny. He's sleeping.
He's been listening to me talk for a while. Schmiegel's a rescue Chihuahua from deep in downtown Detroit, and this whole group here is from the Michigan Anti-Cruelty Society, and they have their dogs out here, which is a beautiful thing. And Schmiegel, he's been watching as best he can through these first, 6 innings. But as you mentioned, this is the 4th and final bark at the park. But I'll tell you the cool thing about it. You guys did that promo with the Red Cross. The cool thing about that they were doing today is fans were encouraged to come out. You could bring dog leashes, dog food, dog treats, anything like that to help some of the animals that were displaced because of Hurricane Florence. And in fact, the Michigan Humane Society has partnered with the Tigers. And I know the Michigan Humane Society, I believe, brought in north of 20 dogs that were displaced because of the hurricane. So there are a lot of animal lovers out there. And it's just a cool thing to be able to do a little bit that you can to try to help out a little bit. And I know my family does a lot of dog fostering as well, so that kind of hits close to home. And hey, when you got pups as cute as Schmiegel out here in a baseball glove, you can't lose.
Schmiegel's going home with you tonight, Johnny. I can just
I don't know if Schmiegel's mother would appreciate
I'm not sure if that
that
glove's a hammock or if that's just a crib, but you got him all relaxed.
That's a happy dog. Thanks, Johnny. That's really good. What a neat thing to turn the final bark in the park into another way. What great work the Michigan Humane Society does to help those pets and animals displaced by Hurricane Florence. James McCann has walked and popped out tonight. Fly ball here, deep but not deep enough. Hauled in by Kepler for the first out here in the 7th. And look at the at-bats. They've been Tigers forced Cole Stewart to throw a few pitches in the 4th inning, but the last 3 innings, Jack, really quick at-bats.
Well, his pitch count has been in good shape through 6 innings. He's got 81 pitches, but he's primarily been throwing strikes. He's got 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, and not any real high-stressed innings for Cole Stewart.
Lugo has seen a steady diet of breaking balls in this game and in the last week or so. He takes ball 1 off the plate inside.
If you're a major league hitter and you have a weakness, it's going to take about 3 at-bats before the entire league has got you on video, and you better learn how to adjust.
It's amazing, isn't it? That's a good swing for Lugo on a fastball, but he lines out to right field. We have seen that he doesn't miss many fastballs. 2 line drives out to right field. It is amazing, though.
Yeah.
Do you think it's even faster now? I mean, word traveled certainly with advanced scouts in your day. The video now, it just seems like it's almost like you said.
Video is
3
so
at-bats.
powerful. You know, hitters and pitchers alike can learn weaknesses immediately. You know, you can put your own eyes on it. You don't have to listen to a coach try to explain it or a advanced scout try to explain it. You can go out and literally watch it, and that's what made a change in baseball. And because of video, I think a lot of these other analytics have come into play. because they can back it up by showing the video.
Yeah. And we're entering an era when the matchups are going to become very precise for bullpens, for relievers. And we'll talk more about that when we come back. Victor Reyes, a little tapper thrown out at first. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Rosario with a first inning home run to give the Twins the early lead, and then the swings got really good in the fourth inning of this game. Pitches up, and the Twins weren't missing. Bobby Grossman, Jake Cave, Joe Mauer. Total of 6 hits in a 4-run fourth, and Jordan Zimmerman's day was done. Cole Stewart has been outstanding in his 6 innings of work as a primary pitcher, not a starter, because the bullpen started this game tonight. It's something we've been touching on. Drew Verhagen takes over on the mound. Bark in the Park Night Owl side windows pitching change. This young man has taken, we're talking about who might be a piece. This guy has absolutely earned a spot in the 2019 bullpen with how he has pitched since coming off the disabled list a couple of months ago. Scary moment when he was hit in the face covering first base. A ball throw from second base he did not see because of an electronic scoreboard. Drew Verhagen's been averaging almost a strikeout an inning. Not many hits, not many runs. A 2.20 ERA his last 33 innings. That is a big deal, as Drew Verhagen has suddenly become a real weapon out of the bullpen. Quickly 0-2 on Logan Forsythe here in the 8th inning. So talking about Cole Stewart not starting the game tonight, Jack, but this is something we've seen across baseball. It's worth talking about because Tampa Bay has had success in games going back to May when Sergio Romo started a game against the Angels specifically because of matchups. They wanted a righty to get out the top 3, Kinsler, Trout, and Upton in that Angels lineup. And perhaps a new era began because the Tampa Bay Rays have been doing it ever since. They still have a couple of starters. Obviously, Blake Snell's having a very good year, but a lot of games where a reliever starts and then a primary pitcher comes in, or it's a bullpen day for the Rays. And it's going to be very interesting to see, as Oakland has now done it. Both teams out of necessity because both have had an incredible number of injuries to starting pitchers. Twins have started to do it. Will more teams follow? Will this become the wave of the future?
Well, I've heard the term small market teams, they're going to have less payroll to go after those prime free agent pitchers. And so they're going to have to do things creatively within. And, it's hard to argue with that, but you still need the bodies. And let's just face it, if Cole Stewart would have started the game tonight, he would have had a pretty good start. Right? Did we really need an opener in an effort that he did tonight? Probably not. But, and how many of these type of starts would he need to be qualified to become a starter again? I don't know. I think it's just an experiment that teams are going to try for a while here. especially the teams that are out of the race.
Good pitch by Verhagen, jams Forsythe and gets the check swing bouncer. One out here in the 8th inning. This is what you were.
Let's look at a pitch that's worked for every generation.
This makes Jack Morris happy.
Well, it's a fastball that just, it's in on me, you know. Oops, I swung, but I really couldn't hold up. Ground ball, no harm, no foul, and an easy out for Verhagen.
The innings logged, even if you take out what Tampa Bay has done by starting pitchers in baseball, continues to drop this year and has dropped 4 years in a row as Kepler takes a beauty of a curveball from Drew Verhagen facing the overshifted infield defense. Max Kepler tonight is 0 for 2.
I've got a theory for that.
For
why pitchers have less innings over the last, 6-7 years. We had that chart earlier.
Yeah.
I just think since the pitch count was created, which everybody agrees that is 100 pitches, I think pitchers kind of get accustomed to the end of the line. They know where that line is. And they become max effort, as we see Max Kepler hit a fly ball to the left. They become max effort guys, and that number goes from 100 pitches to 98 pitches to 95 pitches to maybe 90 pitches. Some guys in the mid-80s, they're getting guys up in the bullpen. And think about that, okay? We're also talking about the number of total outs they're going to get. And I just think that once you put a limit on what a guy is supposed to and be required to do, they're never going to get to it anymore. It's just going to gradually work its way down.
I think that's a great point. And 6 innings right now is kind of you get your team 6 innings, and that's what most teams are looking for in a traditional starter.
I get it. I'm not really as negative about that whole concept as I used to be, but for generations of baseball, management would push a pitcher to pitch beyond what he knew he was capable of doing, and that's how we saw greatness. We saw guys pitch through some pain. We saw guys pitch in situations that weren't comfortable. Get yourself out of your own mess, those kind of things. And by doing that, guys learned how to pitch. They learned how to get outs when they needed to get outs. And that's how we saw, in my opinion, that's how we saw Hall of Famers develop. You know, in the world we live in today, I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to be so great to be qualified for the Hall of Fame throwing 4 innings. I mean, they're right.
And it's the rare manager who pushes a young pitcher. You'll see it from time to time. I left him out there so that he could figure out how to get out of his own mess, but it doesn't happen a whole lot.
Well, they're going to get their chances. And again, as a pitcher, you're going to really have to prove and show that your chances are worthy of more time on the hill. I think a lot of young kids are okay with it. You know, you hear them all the time say, well, we want them to buy into our program. Well, that's buying in. You're going to be okay with throwing 3 innings of being the primary guy or whatever it is.
And Ron Gardenhire talked about it will take a change in mindset.
Yeah, it will.
If you've always been a starter.
How do you go to arbitration? I got three not beginnings, what do they call them, openers. I got 3 openers, and for me the opener was always the fishing season opener. It wasn't any other opener.
And having said all that, and the trend is definitely toward more relief work, very quite clearly, I think most managers still like the idea of 4 solid traditional starters in their rotation.
The Royals really changed baseball in their World Series runs when they had 4 guys that were animals coming out of the bullpen, and they got the job done over and over and over again.
They sure did. Good inning. Another 1-2-3 for Drew Verhagen. 100th career strikeout ends the top of the 8th.
not for me, for him. But they're all at the house, grandbabies, the whole package, so it was fun seeing them all. And I talked with him out there. He's excited. This is a great opportunity the Twins are giving him to be on the field, big leagues, and he's worked really hard, had a good year as a manager, so good for him. Now let's just see who the family roots for.
Do you anticipate having anybody pulling for your side in this series, or is it all for Toby?
Debatable. Maybe my 7-month-old grandbaby will root for me.
That's your best hope.
I don't know about the wife or anybody else. I have my doubts.
What a great moment for that man, Ron Gardenhire. Toby Gardenhire was a hitting coach last year, and this year, first time as a manager for the Cedar Rapids Colonels. And he took them to the playoffs. They went for a 6th straight year, but not a bad way to start your managerial career. Broken back ground ball to third. Adrianza flips over to first for the first out on a 2-0. Candelario bounces down, just like we promised. Time for the Miller Lite Hold True moment. As we look at the big smile on Toby Gardenhire's face and his dad, Ron. What a great gesture by the Twins to bring him up. That's not the norm, of course, to bring an A-ball manager up, but they didn't want to miss this opportunity.
Well, the Twins really trying to get into Gardy's head here. Bring the kid up just for this game and see how he handles it. I thought it was great.
Just awesome. Toby and Ron will sit down tomorrow. That'll be part of the pregame show tomorrow. And on Wednesday as well. You can only imagine that conversation. Ron Gardenhire, one of the best storytellers you will ever see. And I'm sure he's got some good ones with his son, Toby.
You know who Toby replaced as the A-ball manager was Joe Mauer's brother.
Is that right?
Yeah, Joe's brother had managed in the Twins organization for a few years. Jake Mauer.
Is he the one who got bumped up to Double-A to make room?
I don't think Jake is managing anymore.
Okay. Kristen Stewart pops it up. Shallow left field. Field makes the catch. The Ram picked the stick update. And again, it was a really tough call, but I did go with Nick.
Come on, Dan.
Dan, it wasn't that tough, okay?
Yeah, I mean, really.
You got to go out on a limb and get a -2, man. All you other guys are just riding the wave.
You don't just get to sweep in here and win the night twice.
That's exactly what happened.
I got to earn it, I guess.
You talk about Ram pick the stick rules. There's got to be one against that.
I'm co-signing with Mickey on that.
Tyler Duffy is the new pitcher for the Twins. Wallside Windows pitching change.
Here's another guy. Tyler Duffy has been in and out of the bullpen. He's been given opportunities to start for the Twins over the last couple years. And he's actually become the opener in a couple games. And now he's being used late. So I just have a feeling baseball is going to evolve into, if you're slotted as a non-starter, in other words, you're not a Verlander or a Scherzer or that type of guy, you're going to have all sorts of roles, and you're going to get a little taste of everything, including closer maybe.
Another line drive, and this will be a fair ball, and have a night.
How do you pick a guy like him? I don't know.
A double.
Walking 3 hits.
Third hit of the night, 3 for 3 with the walk for Nick. 16th 3-hit game of the season for Nick Castellanos.
And we see it with the fastball this time, the curveball, he keeps his head on the ball. That's what's so impressive for me. Those hands are coming right to what he sees, and that's the baseball. And he
that's fighting it right there, isn't it? I mean,
I give him credit for hanging in there. He could have been a third baseman. We put the ugly guy at third and make a big strong chest, knock the ball down, pick it up, throw him out.
Did he get the ball?
Yeah, he got it. He's good. Be looking for Nick later to sign it.
Victor Martinez takes a pitch off the plate inside.
I got to believe he puts his body in front. He's not giving that to his wife or girlfriend there. He's just going to keep it for himself. texting everybody saying, look what I got.
Catch the replay later on tonight. Ground ball foul. The way I look at the opener, bullpenning days, whatever you want to call it, seems like more and more teams, I think your point about small market is probably a good one. That if you don't feel like, I mean, you're going to pick up a fifth starter who's just going to eat up some innings, or are you going to try to something different? Because the Rays have done it and it's worked. It's not easy to do it. The Rays make it sound like it's no big deal. Kevin Cash says it's no big deal. But I think what they've done in managing that has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I do picture maybe more teams trying it. I do think we're still going to see teams value the ace starter.
And the whole point is to develop starters because you can't afford them, you know, and there's not that many anymore. Teams with good starters, they wrap them up in long-term deals, and they want that. You know, they're a part of what we call a franchise player.
And the Tigers, you saw that list of prospects. The top 5 are all pitchers. As that ball gets away from Estudillo and over to third goes Nick Castellanos. He's there with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. The Tigers trailing by 4. Now a good hitters count for Victor Martinez. The Tigers certainly have a long list of young men who can be potential starters at the major league level. But the other thing that I think certainly brings up, Jack, is that you can't just keep having a rotating revolving door between AAA and the major leagues.
No.
I don't think. I do think relievers are going to have to start logging more innings, as in right now the cap is 75 to 80 every year, right? It's the rare reliever who pitches more than 80 innings. To me, that number is going to have to go up to 92, 100 or more like it used to be if this system is going to work for some teams.
Yeah, I imagine what you're going to see is less guys that are going to throw to 1 or 2 batters, that specialty guy coming out of the pen. And you're going to have more guys that can stretch out a couple innings.
Right.
You know, and that's how you would get to that total number that you're talking about.
50, 60 games, but maybe 90, 100. I mean, you're not going to probably get back to the John Hiller 130, Goose Gossage 130. Guillermo Hernandez was well over 100. But you might certainly get back to 92, 100. There's no reason why you couldn't, but you would have to watch it and manage it, I think, quite carefully.
Well, I can verify, knowing the managers that I know in baseball, how valuable those guys are to them. You know, I can depend on this guy for 2 to 3 innings every time I bring him in a game. That's huge.
And it's just a matter of how often are you getting him up and how many days of rest in between appearances.
Just think, though, Dan, and I say this tongue-in-cheek because I know I'm going to get a reaction out of you, but just think what the value of a complete game pitcher would be to a manager today. One guy.
That's what I'd say. The guys
My
who go
goodness.
6 and 7, the managers still love them.
Oh,
it makes their day
yeah, just
a
give me
whole
7
lot
good ones.
easier. Victor backed away. Do you think A.J. Hinch doesn't love knowing that Justin Verlander's taking them out in a postseason game?
No question. Who wouldn't? He's really found new life down there in Houston. Good for him. It's fun to watch it all unfold.
It really is. The 3-2 to Victor. Outside. So we're talking about the change, the shift in innings from starters to relievers. So the average start the first year of the 15-team league, right around 6. That was 2013, stayed the same in 2014, but now the steady drop the last 4 years. 5 1/3 innings as a historic low average for starting pitchers. And then at the bottom you can see, what does that mean? Relievers are soaking up now about 1,500. This is just in the American League. 1,500 more innings than they were 4 years ago. That's a big change.
Well, the one thing that you have to throw into the equation to show how it's been adjusted is teams used to have 10, 12 pitchers. Now they've got 15 guys, and during September they can have, Twins, what do they have, 17
What did we
pitchers?
count? We counted 13 in the bullpen.
Yeah, 13 guys.
13.
And if they have your traditional 5 starters, that's 18 pitchers.
Tigers trying to start something against Duffy, who has not had any success at the major league level this season. He had some success last year. The ERA was high, but it was low walks, high strikeouts, 71 innings of work last year. But 22 runs in 21 innings coming into this game today. Opportunity here with Adduci at the plate. He takes a curveball low and in, 3-0. Jim Adduci does not draw walks. But Tyler Duffy, who has a microscopic walk rate, is behind 3-0.
Trevor May, power pitching right-hander, warming up in the Twins pen.
Fastball splits the plate.
We were talking early in the game about Tiger starter today, Jordan Zimmerman, and the fact that they want him to try to mix in more changeups. Well, the guy on the mound for the Twins right now, you could say the same thing. He's always had a good slider. That's been his bread and butter go-to pitch when he's ahead. An adequate fastball, a little bit of sink sometimes, but he's got no off-speed pitch, and that's why he hasn't made it as a starter.
Wow, what a play by Adrianza up against the netting. Stayed with it beautifully for out number 3.
Park for a 1-800 call Sam update. Quiet night for the Tigers offensively, with the exception of Nick Castellanos. They never could open it up against the Twins' primary pitchers, or whatever you want to call it tonight. They've kept the Tigers off balance.
Mick, like it or not, this is the new wave. It's happening right now, and it's very difficult for the hitter in the batter's box to get comfortable because you're used to seeing a guy multiple times where you can make adjustments. Tigers weren't able to do that tonight, but we're going to dive more into that win on the postgame show right after the game.
Yeah, Jack and Dan have talked a lot about it throughout the course of the game tonight. The Twins' pitching philosophy. We'll get into it a little further after the game, including the problems it presents from a hitter's perspective. That's after the game on Tigers Live. Dan, Jack?
All right, thanks, guys. 9th inning, Alex Wilson. Finishing strong in the month of September. Just like what this guy brings to the bullpen. You want to know who's available every day? This guy.
Yeah.
Available every single day. They never have to ask. They just have to tell Alex when he's not going to be pitching.
And that, again, is a manager's friend, to have somebody that you know you can depend on all the time.
Their cutter's been getting better and better. As good as it's been, he had a tough time getting out lefties earlier, but he started to get out lefties at a much better clip lately. Astudillo at the plate 0 for 3. And he's up there to swing the bat. It's rare to see a hitter, even 55 at-bats into his career, not even see 3 pitches in a typical trip to the plate. That's where he is.
Yep. You get ahead of him, there's no reason to throw him a strike. He'll get himself out.
Pops out here on an 0-2. Tigers bullpen has done superb work tonight, starting with Zach Reininger. Well, follow the race of the postseason on MLB.tv. For $25.99, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game and get a free subscription to the MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout, other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this limited time offer. 1 out in the 9th inning. Reininger goes 2 1/3, only gave up a walk. Daniel Stumpf gave up a double in a scoreless 7th inning. Drew Verhagen continues his fine work with another 1, 2, 3, 8th. And now Alex Wilson in the 9th. 1-1 on Mauer. So just 2 base runners since Jordan Zimmerman left after 6 hits and 4 runs in the 4th inning. Just off the plate away. Mauer's 1 for 4. Sharp line drive single. That was the second to last batter that Jordan Zimmerman faced. Mauer's had kind of a typical Joe Mauer season in recent years, right around 270. Not a lot of power. Still gives you a good at bat and lots of ground balls. Fielded here by Lugo. Easy over to Adduci. 2 outs here in the 9th inning. Let's take a look at tomorrow's probable pitching matchup presented by Wallside Windows. We can say with some confidence these are 2 starting pitchers.
Starters, yeah.
Jake Odorizzi.
Jake Odorizzi coming off maybe his best start ever in the big leagues. He took a no-hitter into the 8th inning and ended up getting a win against the Yankees in his last start.
Pitch count was right around 120, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he finally gave up that hit.
He showed that he finally got tired. It was legit. But he pitched well after a bunch of starts in a row where he was really struggling. So, you know, a mindset change, and he went out there and made the best out of the last few starts that he had.
You were talking about pitch counts, and if 100 is kind of the top end, then it starts to drop every year. For the aces, for the Justin Verlanders, it used to be 120 and even a little above that. I think that has now dropped to
yeah, it probably has
115, 110.
And I think every manager that has those kind of guys, you have to look at where he's at in his career.
Sure.
And more than any other reason, I think that's why Hinge down in Houston has had Verlander back off that. Plus, they know where they're going. They're going postseason. They need that guy fresh. They need to ride a horse, and he's the horse.
No, I think they've absolutely managed his innings this year. I think he's still just below 200 with 2 starts to go, and that's actually for Houston, I'm sure, a good low total going into the postseason. Polanco takes that cutter in the dirt. Fastball, cutter, occasional slider, but almost all fastball, cutter. Fastball's had good life this year, 92 to 94. Little stretch, and you'll get this with a guy who doesn't get a ton of swings and misses, where Alex Wilson gave up a few runs, but he always figures out a way to make the adjustment and put together this stretch of games. There's a high fly ball, fair or foul, and it is foul. Oh, man.
That went over the top of the foul pole down, or the fair pole, whatever way you want to look at it.
It looked like it went right over the top, didn't it?
It did. We'll see it here. It might have a, well, we might not even see it. It's up in the lights right now.
Yep.
It didn't look like it curved foul.
Not an easy call. But yep, great look there.
You know, Paul's got nothing. Paul Molitor, the manager for the Twins, has nothing to lose at this point to maybe have him take a look at it. And they're gonna, you know, I think we're gonna see it's clearly foul.
It's one of the most deceptive things for me watching a ball live, hooking or slicing, depending on the foul pole. The ball goes by. Half the time I can't tell you. Just look at where it lands.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't tell you sometimes. I thought that was a great look on our monitors.
I think our camera guys captured, from my point of view anyway, the ball on this side of the pole, but that could have been the camera angle now, depending on where you're watching the camera angle. To me, you know, who knows where that camera was relative to the foul pole, but it looks like it almost went over. That one,
there you go.
Looks
now
like it stays
going in
clearly
front
left underneath the foul pole, but
you see it pass in front of the foul pole.
Chelsea Market in downtown New York, they've got a bunch of different angles that we don't use here, and it didn't take long for them to jump out of the
That's the shortest replay we've seen all year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, you really want to delay the game right here.
And if there is hard contact against Alex Wilson, he knows how to get him to hit it foul.
Calling it close there, Dan.
1 for 3 for Polanco, also hit by a pitch tonight. Boy, hits this one hard. Castellanos back, and wow, that's gone. How about that?
Yeah.
Just missed hitting a home run, and then Polanco a sizzling line drive into the front row. And
he's an exciting ball player, and he's got a game plan every single time he goes up there. He works his tail off, and he has a plan. And right there, I think he was sitting on back-to-back fastballs. He got one in that he just missed foul, and his last one, man, look at the location, down and in. But when you're ready for it, look where the head was. Look where the hands were. Line drive, and look out, lady.
What a great shot. Right off the railing. 6th of the year for Polanco. You were saying earlier, dissect a season if you're the Minnesota Twins, and there's just so many little things that became big things along the way. But you start with the 80-game suspension for Polanco, and the fact that their ace, the top of the rotation, Santana, basically didn't pitch all year, and then 2 young players that you really thought were nice pieces in Buxton and Sano were basically non-factors. That's 4 right there.
Their star second baseman, Brian Dozier, was pressing quite a bit, and he didn't have that kind of year. They ended up giving him away or trading him to the Dodgers. So.
Last shot for the Tigers. We head to the bottom of the 9th, and the Twins have the 5-run lead. Stewart, the story for the Twins tonight, took over in the 2nd inning after Moya opened. 6 brilliant innings, really, for Cole Stewart. His best start in a Twins uniform. Nick Castellanos has reached 4 times. That's been the offense for the Tigers. Eddie Rosario, A-Ray Adrianza.
No, that's a mistake there. That was Jorge Polanco.
That's right.
That got the home run
right.
there. But yeah, it's been a few guys that really been the stars of this game tonight, Dan.
And for the first time, really, Cole Stewart was able to go more than just a few innings after taking over following the opener.
He's had a couple really good starts or primary performances for Cole Stewart. This one was his longest, 6 innings out of the pen, and held the Tigers to 2 hits. So quite a game for him.
Numbers aren't great for him this year, but I think that stuff that we saw tonight, that's a guy who could be a legitimate starter.
It played well tonight. He had a good breaking pitch. He was locating his fastball fairly well. And other than Nicholas Castellanos, he was able to navigate the lineup fairly well.
Trevor May using his power arm out of the bullpen now, one-time starter. Gets the easy pop-up. Adrianza with the catch. Rodriguez pops out to start the 9th inning. The Tigers just have not been able to put any pressure on Twins pitchers in this game other than the 4th inning when you had the injury to Eddie Rosario in left field. That allowed the Tigers to score a run, but they couldn't get that runner home from third with less than 2 outs. And the good news was on Eddie Rosario. We saw him walk off. He looked like he was okay. It was a re-aggravation of his right quad injury. So day-to-day for Eddie Rosario.
Well, Paul has used him as a designated hitter at times, but even then he's gingerly ran down to first base. So you got to run well enough to still beat out a infield hit sometimes. And if you can run that well, a guy with a great talent of his arm in left field, you know, he probably wants him out and left.
One inning for Moya, 6 for Stewart, 1 for Duffy, and now Paul Molitor hoping that May can close this out. Tigers bottom part of the order. McCann will be followed by Lugo.
Trevor May is another guy that went through the Tommy John surgery. He finally came back this year, and they're still trying to figure out, the Twins are, whether he will stay in the bullpen or maybe even slot in as a 5th starter at some point. He's been a power pitcher for his career. He's always had a good mid to high 90s fastball and a yacker, the curveball. Primarily a 2-pitch pitcher.
He'll be 29 next year. You see the low walks, high strikeouts. He's used that power arm to great effect out of the bullpen. You think he's got enough pitches to be a starter again, or you like him out of the pen?
I like him out of the pen because his velocity spiked a little bit more, a couple miles an hour, which played well for him. And he never really, as a starter, he never showed any depth. I mean, it was always 4 or 5 innings, and he'd run into that pitch count thing. So I think he's become more efficient. He's thrown more strikes out of the pen. And personally, I think he likes it. So
4 walks, 27 strikeouts certainly stands out in his comeback season of 19 innings of work. Soft ground ball, Adrianza again. 2 outs in the 9th. James McCann 0 for 3. Hit the ball hard in his last at bat. Ends up 0 for 3 with a walk. That leads it up to Dawel Lugo. Another night game tomorrow night. These two teams. Norris against Odorizzi. We talked about Odorizzi. Daniel Norris, a little tough time his last time out, but that remains one of the key arms for the Tigers rotation in 2019. So Daniel Norris gets his 3rd start off the DL. And the road to the show. Telecast tomorrow night. Pre-game and through the game. Great stories all night long. And everybody, as you said, and Johnny Kane said earlier, everybody has a story. And we'll be hearing those stories tomorrow night. Foul out of play. 1-1 on Dawel Lugo.
There's Jake Odorizzi. And the guy just claimed that he caught the ball. It's yet to be verified. I think he got the 3-hopper maybe. He's proud of it though.
He is. He's got the Tram jersey on. He's channeling the good hands.
Still trying to show the great. Here it is. See, I knew he didn't catch it. And it's right to him. Good for him.
Breaking ball in the dirt. And that will complete the strikeout. And the Twins take the opener of this 3-game series here in Detroit. Now we'll send it to the Coliseum studio. Mickey York standing by for Tigers live postgame. Twins win it 6-1.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. Coming up on Tigers Live, we'll explain how the Twins won a game without a starting pitcher. Tiger starting pitcher Jordan Zimmerman will discuss his struggles tonight. Ron Gardenhire and son Toby exchange lineup cards tonight. We'll take you inside their unique relationship. And Hall of Famer Jack Morris has some things to get off his chest. He'll join us next on Tigers Live to do it.